Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever it is for you. We are back with another weekend of Formula Sim Racing, and obviously as always we start off with the X Championship. We are live from Singapore, a very demanding track for each driver, and today I'm definitely looking forward to the race. It's going to be very tricky. In terms of rain, not really any rain predicted for this race, maybe towards the end, but definitely not for the beginning. And so the drivers are heading out on track at the moment to get a quali lap in, because we are in Q1 at the moment. We're a little bit behind schedule, but nothing too serious, to be honest. We have another new cameraman. 2 weeks ago we had a few problems. Some new guys had to be introduced in a camera crew, and today we have another new guy in the name of Baxter. So Craig, a very big thank you for making this all happen. And Craig is going to stream today. Should all be good, and it should also be in 60 FPS, which is really nice. Especially on the World Championship stream from 2 weeks ago in Spa-Francorchamps, we had some good feedback regarding the 60 FPS, and it's in fact a great feature. But nonetheless, we are going to focus here on this race. As I said, it's Q1 at the moment with only 9 minutes to go, but that's nothing too serious. The first person who is going to set one of the lap times though is Martin Hodes. And I remember that Hodes was definitely struggling last time out in Spa-Francorchamps in the rain. Let's see how he does here. It is, as I said, quite dry conditions. It is obviously very dry. May rain towards the end of the race, but I doubt it is going to happen. High chance that it's actually not going to rain at all during the whole race here. Hodes nonetheless though, coming down the little straight here, and the double apex over here goes down a gear and climbs up the gear again. The first DRS zone here for Martin Hodes down the main straight, as he's going to turn it into the first corner. And the first 3 corner combinations, I should say, because these are all obviously combinations. You need to compromise your line sometimes to open up the next corner a little bit better. Stays in third gear there, that's quite interesting. On corner exit, definitely trying to minimize his wheel spin. Going through turn 5 this is, and opening up the DRS. This is then the second DRS zone with a little kink right here. This is turn 6, obviously flat out. But then prepare yourself for this next corner, turn 7. Just after the one on the meter board, and he slows the car down nicely. Don't go too wide on the exit, which is very easy to do so. Reach out for the apex on the next hairpin. There's a little bit of oversteer moment there on the exit. Turns it in nicely though for this turn, which is turn 9. Now heading down to turn 10. Very interesting, obviously. Before we had the Singapore sling here, it's now just a simple left-hander with a nice inside curb, which he clips nicely as well. Goes a little bit too deep into there though. You saw him missing the apex slightly, could have been worse though. And once again another hairpin. Very wow, I guess you could call it a busy track for the driver there, especially down that middle sector. So many corners, so many things to do, and it's also such a long lap as well. It's unbelievable. It will most likely be the longest race of the whole season today. Once again, Martin Hodes now in this third sector, looking out for the apexes here. Goes well over the curb over there, and then goes underneath the grandstands of turns 18 and 19, and he is almost going to complete the very first lap here. Does so nicely here, very stable, nothing too serious. Very important to have good traction around this track. Nicely on the exit there, as he's going to come to the final 2 corners, which is turns 22 and 23. Goes all over the curb over there, then opens up the DRS for the very short around 2 line. And Martin Hodes sets the benchmark with a 140.776. Rens Klopp behind that straight away does a 140.2. It's great to have Rens Klopp back again. Goes straight away half a second quicker than Martin Hodes. Michal Antohovsky, I think it was. I'm having struggles again pronouncing this name. I remember we had so 2 weeks ago as well. Goes around the final 2 corners. What is he going to do? He's up for somewhat of a good time, although it's not going to be as good as Aros Mashuli, who's currently in pole position. And he put himself up to third with a 140.2. So in fact, not too shabby. Was 2/10 quicker than Aros in the final sector, so he made up a little bit of time over there. But you're then another guy to look out for, always quick. He's also in the final sector, as all of these guys are going to complete their laps. Jeroen goes pole. Well, not really pole. It's obviously Q1 yet, so excuse me about that. He goes first with a 140.1. Jeroen coming across the line. He does a 140.3. Relatively close field at the moment. 2 tenths separated. But obviously, since it is Q1, we are also gonna have to look at the 10th spot, which will be the cut-off point. People are wondering, where is James Settler at the moment? James is unfortunately not here due to personal commitments. That's why I'm doing a solo commentary at the moment. Chris de Jong may join me later on, if he crashes in the race. So if Chris de Jong is going to DNF, then he may join me. And chances that Chris is going to crash are obviously quite high. Don't take that too serious, by the way. We all love Chris, of course. So what are we looking out for? We're looking at Michael Francesconi. 14th place at the moment, hasn't set a lap time yet. There's a little bit of traffic. All these guys are still on their outlap. Michal Antohovsky, for example, in front of him. Is he on the hot lap himself? Yes, he is indeed. Michal nicely let him through. Reaching for the apex here, nicely running it out. Wide bit of oversteer there for him on the exit. He's now coming up to Jeroen, who was in front, also on another outlap. He's really swinging it in over there, carrying a lot of apex speed through there. This is a very interesting chicane over there just before the bridge. Turns 11 and 12, those are really interesting. Quite tricky, gets a lot of wheel spin though on the exit, tries to pick up a little bit of slipstream from Jeroen. What's he doing? He's doing a 25.4 first sector, 37.3 in the second. Not too shabby, definitely looking to go into the top 10 at the moment is Michael Francesconi. Final sector here, short shift up to third gear. We'll see a lot of drivers short shifting here around this track. Very, well, very nice to do so. If you want to save the rear tires a bit, get a bit of a better, more stable exit. He misses the apex there over there though, sorry. Shoots a little bit through. Final 2 corners though. Nicely through there, very nice rear end on that car. In fact, was able to just put the power down and go 7 for the moment with 140.5. We'll get another lap, another shot in with 3.5 more minutes to go. So Eros Mashuli at the moment, purple in the first sector. Most people will improve towards the end here as well. The track is starting to rubber in more and more. Eros going over the bridge over here, slowing it down for the hairpin. He's got Paschalis Georges in front of him. What's Georges doing? Georges is 3 tenths down at the end of the first sector alone on Eros Mashuli. So Eros Mashuli looking good at the moment. Georges goes purple though for the second sector, but only for a brief moment, as Mashuli jumped all over the curb over there, has gone purple once again. Another 3 tenths quicker in that middle sector. So Eros Mashuli looking rather good at the moment. Georges also looking good for an improvement, but most people will most likely improve. Eros Mashuli shooting underneath the grandstand, nicely slowing it down over there, reaching out for the apex over there. Don't go too much to the inside though. There's a little bit of a anti-cut over there, which can unsettle the car a little bit. Nicely on the power there for Eros Mashuli, and now listen through these final 2 corners. Nicely putting the power down as well, opening up the ears for the very short run to the line. Paschalis Georges with a 140.0 and Eros Mashuli straight away with a 139.5. Great lap from him, 5.5 tenths quicker than Paschalis Georges. And let's see what Jeroen can do then. Jeroen not really improving in the first sector. He has done an improvement in the second sector, but Eros Mashuli with a fantastic lap, to be honest. He was 4 tenths quicker than Jeroen. We'll see what Jem can do in the final sector, of course. Bolek still third, and he is turning in that car so nicely in that final or penultimate corner it is really. And he goes into the 39th as well, jumps up to second place with Viktor Ivanov being in 10th at the moment. And Viktor Ivanov is going out yet again. He's gonna have to do a quick outlap here. George is going out yet again as well, as Hoyer jumped up to second. But Eros Mashuli with a fantastic lap, 4 tenths ahead of the rest of the field, quite impressive. Someone who is outside of the top 10 at the moment is Danny van der Niet. Chris de Jong as well, he's trying to set a lap time. What's Chris de Jong actually doing? Is Chris on the lap? That is the question. I think he is. Although he's made a mistake in the first sector. He was seconds off the pace over there, so let's not look at Chris de Jong at the moment. He will get another lap in though, most likely. A few guys with the back of the grid. One of them is Mara Godek. That's why he's in the pit lane. Riera is in the pit lane. Giuseppe Ragusa is in the pit lane. And also Alessio Campos. What's nice though, with 1 minute to go in this session, is that Rens Klopp is back. Obviously a familiar name in this series. He's in FSR in general. Last time out in Spa-Francorchamps he wasn't there. No idea why he wasn't there, to be honest. Maybe I should ask him. But anyway, the reason for that is a bit unknown. But it's good to see him back over here. Guillermo Preto then, 12th place at the moment. Rounding up his outlap and has to do better than this if he wants to go into Q2. Here we go with Prieto on board. Opens up the DRS for the start-finish straight. Let's have a look what he's going to do through those first 3 corners. As I said, very important couple of corners. And he opens up this corner nicely. So he's a little bit to the right hand side in turn 2. Bit of oversteer there on the corner exit. Bit of wheel spin I should say. Not really oversteer. Nothing too fancy though. Nicely on the apex there. Gets early on the power. As early as he could obviously opens up the DRS. Then once again, top speed's obviously very low compared to Spa for Champs. But what else do you expect? It's a street circuit. 305 kilometers an hour for Guillermo Prieto. And he goes, whoa, that was a tough one. May have gone outside of the track limits over there. Tough to say. I don't think that corner, the exit there, counts as a cut exception. So in that case it would have been a track extension maybe. Nonetheless though, he keeps on going at the moment. So he definitely doesn't think or doesn't know that he may have extended the track. I don't know. Could have been lag as well. Don't know how it looked like from Craig's point of view, who's obviously broadcasting is at the moment. Bit of a wiggly exit there on the exit of the hairpin. Slows the car down here, second gear, reaches out for the apex and a massive oversteer moment there. That doesn't look good at all when the throttle is even at idle. You would think that when he is under positive throttle that the rear end, you know, you can get some oversteer, but that did not look good at all. In the middle of the corner, wasn't even on the power, getting some oversteer there. After just gone in the meantime, gone to second place in that event. The car touched the outside wall there as well. Prieto is on for an improvement nonetheless in the second sector. Was a little bit down at the end of the first sector, so it's all about his final sector for Prieto. He needs to beat a 140.8. Victor Ivanov in 10th at the moment, and he does it with a 140.3. So quite a bit of a margin in fact, and he pushes Victor Ivanov out of the top 10. Victor Ivanov, however, is on for an improvement. He has gone, well, green in the first 2 sectors, so Victor Ivanov might do it. He's very close though to Prieto's time, so this might be a close one. Gobby is in 10th at the moment with a 140.5, so that's the target for Ivanov. Goes with full commitments in the final 2 corners, and can he do it? The answer is yes, but only by a 10th or so, a 140.4 for Victor Ivanov. And he gets into there, Danny van der Niet goes into 12th with an improvement in the final lap for him. Yes, he did improve, so van der Niet is in 12th and Ivanov in 10th, we saw that. And he is well, happy that he is going to go to Q2 obviously. So that concludes the first qualifying session. Top 10 is allowed to drive for Q2. And they will start on the tires they are going to qualifying on as usual. The usual rules here. We've had a rule change for the World Championship, where the qualifying, or the second part of qualifying, so Q2, is a different format. Usually it would be one car out at the time, or one car would do a hot lap at the time. Now it's I think it was a 10-minute session and unlimited laps for the drivers, which is also the case in well, nowhere, right? I think Pro is 10 or 5 minutes. Yeah, Pro is definitely not unlimited laps, so it's a bit of an unique qualifying in World Championship. But World Championship is tomorrow. Today is another day with Ace. There are some messages over here. Shatsi Pantelis, there are some doubts about him being allocated for this race. Nothing too serious though. Is everyone going to go for the super soft tire as well? That will be interesting to see. There's quite a bit of a difference here between the prime tire and the option tire, in my opinion. And what's interesting is that the first 2 cars which are going to go out are the Eventa cars. They were very strong in Q1. Eros Mashuli in particular. Great lap from him. We saw that 139.5 I think it was. And they lined themselves up right here on the pit exit as the light went green. And the Eventa cars, as I said, are the first ones to set their lap time, with Mashuli going first. He's going to set the benchmark straight away, which will be interesting. I mean, this was the fastest guy in Q1. See what he can do for Q2. As I said, he will set the benchmark. One thing which I should say, or what I should mention at least, is the track. It's obviously Singapore, but the track, what I mean by that is the development and the amount of hours and work that has been done on this track. And in particular, I think I'm gonna have to thank John Eric Saxon for that. And also Chris Kopp, our president. They are usually the usual suspects, I believe, who edit the track. There has been some track modifications. For example, the tire barriers on the exit of turn 9, which is in the second sector. If you're in the second sector, at the start you have this DRS zone. You go to the left, and then this tight, I call it a hairpin. Maybe it's not entirely a hairpin, it's just a right-hander, but it's a very tight one. And then you come up to turn 9, which is that very quick left-hander. You accelerate out of that right-hander, the slow right-hander. You accelerate into turn 9 more or less. Tire barrier has been replaced on the outside there. And if we look at Eros Mashuli, he goes underneath the grandstand. There was a tire barrier on the right-hand side there as well, which also has been removed. And also some additional work to the track itself, obviously. But as I said, a massive props to the guys who have been working on this track. Nonetheless, Eros Mashuli is the first driver to set his lap time as DRS is wide open for him. And he goes into the first corner, carries a lot of speed into there, turns in a little bit too early though. He had to step with the wheel a couple of times there. So it could have been a little bit better, but watch the exit there, superb. Going down the gears, or up the gears I should say, and again down the gears for this corner. And he gets on the power very early and he crashes in fact. He crashes too early on the power there. It generated some oversteer, or sorry, some understeer for him, not oversteer. And he just collected the wall, and there's a rear wing from him in the place. And his teammate actually is the one who gets caught up with the debris. And that definitely cost him a little bit of time. Did he have, I don't think he has some visual damage. Let me have a quick look. I don't think so. Some Francesconi's gonna keep on going, but certainly he lost some time over there. 25.7 from him, as Mashuli is then the one who loses out in his qualifying too. Prieto did a 25.4, so indeed 3/10 quicker than Michael Francesconi has done. Francesconi is gonna have to put everything on the line over here as he comes across the bridge. Bit of oversteer over there, slows the car down once again for this hairpin, down into first gear, reaches out for the apex and then gets on the power as well, early as he can. Actually upshifts there up to fourth gear, which I don't think was exactly planned because he was too low in the rest. Misses the apex over here as well. A sloppy lap at the moment from Francesconi, but obviously he was already compromised in his first sector. Prieto's still quickest after all those guys have, or well, I say all those guys, only Michał Antochowski has set another first sector time, which was 25.5. So Prieto purple with a 0.4. Prieto 0.2 in the middle sector, 0.1 for Francesconi. So Francesconi with a reasonable second sector, but watch his final sector. And it's also very important. The air is wide open for the short run to the line, and he sets a 140.5, a second off, which Mashuli did in Q1. So next to cross the line is then Prieto, I think. He does so right now and goes provisional pole with 140.4. Next up is Michał Antochowski. And Antochowski is very close to it, very close to Prieto. Once again, it all depends on his final sector over here. Flies through the final two corners. Once again, opens up the DRS, and he does it! A fantastic final sector. Sets a 140.1. A very good lap from him. And then Rens Klopp. What can Rens Klopp do? He is going to start his lap right now. And Victor Ivanov is actually the next one to cross the line. He did a 25.6, which is about 1/10 down on the pole sit, but I'm looking at Rens Klopp at the moment. What can Rens Klopp do? Quick look, is Bolok Bassi and everyone else on the lap as well? Doesn't look like it. So it's Hoyer. Hoyer is on the lap. Let's actually look at Hoyer, because he has gone purple in the first sector. I'll keep an eye out on Rens Klopp and what he is going to do. Mitchie Hoyer has gone about 700ths of a second quicker than Prieto, and about 2/10 quicker than Michał Antochowski. Gets over the curb over there and on the power, very close to the outside barrier. Klopp did a 0.7 first sector, 2/10 down on the provisional pole position at the moment. And goes very deep into here as well. We see a lot of drivers taking a lot of entry speed there. And seems to work at the moment. Slowing the car down once again, excuse me. Going all over those curves over there, and he touches the barrier, I'm pretty sure, on the exit over there. Too early on the power, cost him oversteer. He also went a bit too much over the curb, in my opinion. And he catches the anti-pad over there too. Touches the barrier once again on the exit. He's definitely pushing. But also a bit of oversteer over there. It looks a little bit sloppy Comes across the final 2 corners though, but you never know. It still could be a good lap as he shifts up to 7th gear as well. A double upshift and he gets provisional pole position, incredibly, with a 39.8. What can Klopp do? Klopp is going in the final sector. I saw Jembo Lugbasi who picked up a little bit of debris, I think Hodis must have crashed or something. But nonetheless, Bolobasi maybe a bit compromised in the 2nd sector. Klopp does only a 140.5, 7/10 off. Then we're looking at Bolobasi. He did purple 1st sector, was quick in the 2nd sector, but he caught some debris, I believe. What is Georgius doing, by the way? It's Bolobasi first, then comes Georgius. Georgius is slower than Bolobasi at the moment by about 4/10. So it's really up to Bolobasi to challenge Mitch Moyer. But the question is, can he do it? He swings it into the final 2 corners. And is he going to do it? That is the question. It all depends on the final sector. And he does do it with a fantastic final sector. What can Georgius do then in the background? He does a 140.2. But a fantastic lap and a fantastic effort from Jan Bolobasi, who once again gets it. And he was 3/10 quicker than Mitch Hoyer in the final sector. That's absolutely the advantage where he gained it. It was in that final sector, 3/10 quicker than Mitch Hoyer. Thanks to that, got pole position by 2/10 of a second. A massive congratulations to Jan Bolobasi, who keeps impressing with another pole position. Interesting to note that everyone throughout that session was on the super soft tire. Victor Ivanov, Martin Hodes, and we saw Eros Mashuli. They all made some kind of mistake for, well, what I presume, because they didn't set a lap time. So that's the second qualifying done. Very hectic, very intense second qualifying. Didn't expect Mashuli to crash out there. He definitely is going to be disappointed with that one, I can tell you that. It's looking very strong. Did a 0.5 as I said in Q1. Pole time is a 0.6 from Bolobasi. And once again 2/10 shy of Mitchy Hoyer, who is a gap of 2/10 himself as well to Michal Antohovsky. Good lap from Bolobasi, especially in the final sector once again. Very nice. So next session is the warm-up. As usual, the drivers get 10 minutes to get used to the fuel, the heavier fuel load. This is a standard with an FSR, obviously. Light goes green. And those 10 minutes are underway right now. So what the drivers are going to do here, they need to get used to that heavy fuel load, of course. It's about 180 liters these guys are carrying. For Pro, it's about 130. Ace is usually about 170, 180. And the World Championship usually is with a full tank, about 218 liters. Not always, for example, in Monza, there definitely wasn't 218 liters. I think it's pretty safe to say that in the cars from the WC drivers, but it certainly is going to be tomorrow. In fact, we may see some fuel saving in WC. This track is very, very demanding in terms of fuel. Now you ask yourself, why is it so demanding in terms of fuel? There are a lot of acceleration zones on this track, a lot of slow corners. It's quite a start-stop circuit, or stop-start, however you want to call it, of course. And secondly, it's a very long race. As I said, it could well be the longest race of the entire calendar for all 3 series. I doubt there is a 2-hour limit though in FSR, so for WC, most likely it is going to be the full race distance. If it isn't, if there is a 2-hour limit, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course. Feel free to do so. But yeah, it is gonna be interesting, but that's all tomorrow, of course. As always, we've got Ace on Saturday, then Pro and WC in that order. So we end the weekend with a good and nice race, hopefully, in WC. So if you like having a nice coffee, or I don't know, tea, if you fancy some tea, maybe you want to go to the toilet, do it right now. In 7 minutes and 47 seconds the action will kick off and the race will be underway. It's a different story always, qualifying and in this warm-up session. That's obvious because of the heavier fuel load. I expect these drivers, well, they did, for example, in Bollock's Bassi, in his case, he did 39.6. What kind of race times can we expect? Somewhere like 43, something around there, which is a good 3.5 seconds slower. Yes, you do notice that, definitely, in terms of driving. There's a lot more understeer in the car. And towards the end of the race, when you race, obviously your fuel is going to decrease and decrease. And you can feel that. Usually the balance starts to shift a little bit during your stints. And one stint, well, for example, when you do super soft in the opening stint, it's not going to feel the same in the second stint. You could have a bit more oversteer, maybe a bit more understeer. What these drivers are capable of doing, though, is request front wing angle or degree, change. Front wing angle change in terms of degrees. So maybe if they feel like for the next stint I want to have a bit more turn in, a bit more, sharper front end, they can request an extra additional degree on the front wing when they make the pit stop. One driver who is going to make a pit stop is Michał Antonovsky. Very interesting pit lane. Some things need to be cleared up about this pit lane because there may be some confusion alongside the viewers. It's going to be tough to explain. I hope that I can find someone who is going to pit. Well, there's a Ghost Speed car going into the pit lane, but I need someone who actually is going in the pit lane itself. That is, I guess, the best way to explain it. Because it is a bit of a tricky pit entry, to be honest. I don't see any pit lights on at the moment, though, so I doubt anyone is going to pit. Which is a shame. I'm going to have to do it without an example then. Basically, the pit entry is obviously on the inside of the final two corners. There are basically two curbs. One is the outside curb for the pit entry, and one is the inside curb for the final two corners, if that makes any sense. So you have like two curbs being alongside each other. One can be used for the pit lane entry, and one can be used for the final corners, although I have no idea why you would be completely to the inside throughout the whole final two corners, because you swing it in obviously in the final corner itself as well. You go wide and don't stick to the apex because that's the slowest way possible. But nonetheless, let's look at Gobby, okay? So Gobby comes to the final corner. Here are those two curbs being alongside each other. One is for the inside of the final corner, as I said. One is for the outside of the pit entry. You can use the outside curb on the pit entry, but you cannot touch the inside curb for the final two corners when going into the pit, if that makes any sense. It's a bit tough to explain, but I'm sure you guys catch my drift. Just when you go in the pit entry, you may not take advantage or use the inside curb for the final two corners. You can, however, use the outside curb of the pit entry itself. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Maybe it doesn't, and then in that case I wasted a couple of minutes, but that's okay. We have 4.5 minutes to go before we are going to race. Hope you guys are having a good time on stream. Hope everything goes fine. Once again, a big thank you to to Craig Baxter, who does the cameras over here. Once again, Craig, thanks for being here and making this event possible. I said Jem because I wanted to say something about him. Where is Jem at the moment? Jem is currently in 15th, hasn't set a lap time yet. Now, it will be interesting to see what he can do. As I said, he has been continuously impressive. And despite him being quite early in his FSR career, he seems to be the kind of guy who can control a gap. Give him, for example, an 8-second gap in the opening stint of the race. He will be able to manage it and take home a victory during the race. That is, in my opinion, the kind of driver he is. Especially when you look at Spa. I mean, a very impressive performance at Spa from Jem. Until he got, I wouldn't say crashed out, but he had an unfortunate incident with Mike Partington, is I guess the best way to say it. But yeah, this guy has been continuously impressive. Hasn't set a lap time yet, and he actually crashed over there. Don't know if you catch that, Greg, but Jem went too much to the outside, trying to swing it in a bit too much for turn 9. Paschalis Georges though, first place at the moment with a 144.2. What is interesting is to see who is in second. Marek Godek with the back of the grid, but Godek at the same time being on the prime tire, so it's quite impressive that he is in second with, well, being 2 tenths shy on Paschalis Georges, who's definitely on the super soft. Mashuli is going to start on the prime himself as well, at least he's driving on it at the moment. Now there was a rule in WC where you had to start on the same tire you were going out in with qualifying, so Mashuli certainly went with the super soft tire, tried to set the lap time on that super soft tire, but then crashed. And I think in WC you would have to go with the super soft tire again. I don't know how about Ace. He is on the prime tire at the moment though, that's for sure. Same for Fabrizio Gobbi, same for Timo Vargyarvi, Danny van der Niet, Victor Ivanov and Ruud Heesterbeek, and don't forget Chris de Jong. 1 minute to go, just a bit over that. Here goes Marek Godek in the pit lane. See, he uses the outside curve there nicely. Then you need to well, slow the car down for the pit entry line as well. It's a relatively tricky pit lane. Pit entry is somewhat tricky, pit exit is also somewhat tricky. Need to be well, really careful on the pit exit. Make sure you don't go over that white line. In terms of track cutting and extending, it's one of the tougher tracks as well of the season. Very easy to extend the track, for example on the exit of turn 7, which is that left-hander after the first DRS zone. But not only that, also the chicane before the bridge. There's a lot of corners in general where you can extend a little bit. There are a few cut exceptions for this track, however. I think one is actually turn 9, swinging it into turn 9, but I may be wrong. And also the exit of the hairpin in the second sector. So after the bridge you have this very tight left-hander. There's like a solid white line, but you can cross it. The white line is well, a meter or 2 away from the barrier, but nothing too fabulous about that really. So Wu looks competitive at the moment. Giuseppe Ragusa certainly does. He does a 143.9, but it's also about that long stint pace, if you know what I mean. You know, towards the end of the stint you also want to be quick. You want to try to find a nice balance here, especially around this track. Pushing hard around this track can certainly give you a couple of tenths per lap, but it will also give you a couple of percentage tire wear more per lap. And it's about the driver. You know, it's on the driver to go for the right balance. And yeah, see whether he wants to push, whether he wants to save tires. I'm interested to see though what Rens Klopp can do. Klopp in 6th here. This is second of Giuseppe Ragusa. And Klopp, I'm pretty sure if I ask him why are you a bit off the pace, usually obviously we know Rens Klopp, I mean no offense to Klopp obviously, but we know him as being an incredibly quick driver. Usually is stopping the timesheets. Maybe the track doesn't really suit him. It could be an explanation, but I am pretty certain that Klopp is quite busy with his real life. I mean, we have been talking, Rens Klopp and myself a little bit. We even had that interview previously in the earlier part of the season. And he also said, you know, I'm so busy with things in real life, it's hard to practice. And you can't blame him for that. It's obviously a hobby, sim racing. One moment, we're trying to fix another commentator, would be nice in fact. Right, so warm-up is finished then. 0 minutes left on the clock. And it's then to the drivers to perform in the race. Giuseppe Ragusa, the only one in the 43s. In fact, we are very close to being in the 44s. Polak Balsi there in second. See what he can do from pole position then. But to be honest, the Venta cars looked really strong in qualifying. They've dropped a little bit here in the warm-up session, but warm-up sessions are never the true indication of pace. As I said, this track is very dependent on pushing level. If you can push hard, you can just gain an extra few tenths, but it will compromise you towards the end of the stint. So we're waiting for Blair Disley then, our race director, to go into the race. Obviously we'll have a formation lap first. And I think we have fixed another commentator, so that would be nice. And in fact, the commentator is my friend Justin. Justin, welcome to the stream. It's going to be the first commentary for you. You have streamed the WC race in Spa. We've talked about it. In fact, I have talked about it in the practice or qualifying, saying that everyone was happy with the 60 FPS. But now it's your time to commentate and your time to shine, because I know you for quite a while and you are an awesome commentator. So kick in, Justin.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I ended up not working today, so and I saw that you were alone on the broadcast as I was tuning in as one of the viewers to see the action, of course. So I heard that you were the only one, and Chris actually he messaged me, and it looks like I'll actually be broadcasting WC again tomorrow. And I offered to join you in the commentary booth, give your voice a little bit of a rest. I know how difficult it can be doing solo commentary for a long race, so I offered and he accepted, and here I am.
Well, very warm welcome to the stream. That's for sure. As I said, we're waiting for Blair Disley, our race director, to go into the race. Don't know what's taking him so long at the moment. He gives a few information or a few details though, and that's the details I've been talking about as well. The pit entry, I will quote our race director: "Forbidden entry must not cut the line, but can touch the inner curb. Same for exit, can touch curb, but do not not the line where there is no curb." Probably do not cross the line where there is no curb is what he wanted to say. Pascal is having a few questions, but I think we're pretty much good to go. 21 drivers here. Chris de Jong with a 152.4. Bit of the pace, but Chris de Jong has some problems with his computer. I know that since Spa. He basically had a new computer, although it's a bit of a doubt whether you could call it new. You could as well call it old, because he's having some issues with frame rate and stuff. So we'll see what Chris de Jong can do, and hopefully he can finish the race at least. It's such a long race though, Justin.
It really doesn't get any long. I mean, I don't know exactly with FSR, but certainly in Formula One, it doesn't get any longer than this. It's such a difficult circuit as well. You have to maintain your focus. There's very little time to rest in between the corners. Yeah. Only a couple of straights really to kind of chill out on. It's very demanding, very long, very difficult. Thankfully, these guys are at least in the well, maybe not all of them in air conditioning necessarily, but everyone's inside, indoors. It's a little bit more comfortable versus being in the hot cockpit of a Formula One car, but it's probably pretty close to as difficult as far as mentally. Very difficult circuit indeed.
Yeah, I said it as one qualifying. It's a very busy track, especially that's middle sector for a driver. But Disley still sorting out the grid, so we're still waiting. A little bit of a delay, but nothing too serious. The longer we are going to delay it though, the higher the chance of rain is going to be, although don't really see it happening. I haven't looked at the forecast since, what was it, 30 minutes, something like that, maybe a bit longer. But yeah, maybe towards the end, maybe not. It all depends on what is going to develop. What is true though, is that there are going to be some clouds overnight here, and there's going to be some rain. The question is when it's going to be. Is it going to be towards the end of the race or not? I doubt it. I doubt it will come in time, but we'll see. As Blair Disley gives the sign and says moving to race, but then there's a Greek guy who says, "What do I do?" And Chris de Jong says, "Panic." So
that's always a great way to start.
Yep, definitely. So
well, what do? You drive as fast as you can.
Maybe not. Maybe not, Justin. Maybe you need to save a bit of tires here.
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean, we were talking about it. Of course, I'm your engineer and pro. We were talking about pro being probably a 3-stop, maybe some people 2-stopping. What do
hey,
we?
what is Justin? No.
What are we looking at for Ace here?
Maybe the same. It all depends on the drivers, really. Do you want to go and put the primal tire on for another stint, or are you more comfortable with going for the super soft, but then doing another extra stop? You know, it's dependent on the driver and how he manages his tire. Yes, it's a bit dependent on the setup as well. It's very easy to spin the rear tires towards the end of the stint. You can have a little bit of a higher rear wing, which is going to compromise your speed perhaps in the first couple of laps, but it will definitely help with the stability towards the end of your stints the whole time. And it is also a very important factor. But we're looking at 49 laps here, and we're also looking at cars which are going to appear on the grid here, as we should start the formation lap in any second now then.
Yep, I'm having a look at my buddy Jem sitting in that pole position spot. That's a great way to start his race, of course. He's in a great slot at a track that's difficult to overtake at, for sure, in just about any class of car. I think you'll find that Singapore is a very difficult track to overtake at. It's going to be heavily strategy dependent, I think, as far as overtaking, you know, undercutting and that sort of thing. But of course, rain would throw a spanner in any sort of setup advantage or strategy advantage that anybody has. So that could seriously just throw a huge question mark up in the air. I think it was Jem actually that did really well in the changing conditions at Spa.
Yeah, correct. He got caught though in an unfortunate incident with Mike Partington, but he was doing good at that point, and in fact, he was not leading the race, but he virtually was because he just made his pit stop.
Right, yeah. And I have to say, before the race gets going very shortly here, that Ace is probably the one that I'm the least familiar with, only because I do typically work on Saturdays. Today is a little bit different, so this is the one that I have the least opportunity to watch. Sundays I'm always off as a Formula One fan. I made that criteria for my job. So I'm always off on Sundays, able to watch the Pro and the WC. And really enjoy it, and it's a big shame that I generally don't get to watch the Ace stuff. So I'm really excited about this one, though. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. So let's hope for a good race. As I said, a long race, a tricky race, a street circuit, I should say. Let's hope these guys keep it clean as well for the first couple of corners. Those first 3 corner combinations are gonna be tricky. We may see some drivers going straight for turn 2, you know, taking that escape route, and then rejoining the track for turn 3, but that rejoining the track is also a process which needs to be executed really carefully, otherwise you may get caught up and cause a chain reaction.
Yeah, as I understand it, this version had some extra runoff areas, a little bit, some stuff taken away, so that will, hopefully help people out. But yeah, as you said, you know, we're looking for some clean opening laps. With a big gap actually right now between Jem and Hoyer, so he's gonna probably be dealing with some overheating engine possibly there. But coming to the grid now, and yeah, it's a very long race. Certainly, it's not going to be won or lost in the well. It could be lost, but it's not going to be won in the first few laps.
Right, we're waiting then for Riera. Rasgusa will start from the pit lane. Same for Chatsi Pantelis, of course. Those guys will be making their way out. Marek Godek is on the track here. Here at the back of the grid, of course. So we're staring at the lights then. Jem Bolek-Bassi certainly is. Let's see what kind of start he can produce. We're staring at the lights, which are coming on right now. It's Saturday, the 26th of September. And the lights are out right now. Took quite a long while, but Jem Bolek-Bassi getting reasonably nicely off the grid there. Being overtaken almost though by Hoyer, and he gets overtaken in fact on the inside, and he has to go a bit deep into the corner. No crashes yet so far at the back as far as I'm concerned. That is good. Hoyer though still side by side, I think, with Jem Bolek-Bassi. Hoyer getting past, is that the question? Is it the answer? The answer is not yet. They are still side by side, but look at Michal Antorovsky as well, who's in the slipstream of Jem Bolek-Bassi. A spin in the background though. Justin, maybe you can try to find who that is. Going 3 wide though into the next corner, and Jem Bolek-Bassi defends very nicely, very impressive for Mitchie Hoyer, and in fact he takes his teammate Michal Antorovsky with him up to 2nd place. A good start from Mitchie Hoyer, but a fantastic response as well from that Origin car.
Yeah, and that was Victor Ivanov in the background there, actually another driver that I have some history with in the past. We've crossed paths a few times, and that's a very unfortunate way to start his races. He's down in last position now. It's a very long race, as we've been saying, of course, so he's got plenty of opportunities to make it up. It doesn't look like he has significant damage. I think maybe the front left end plate on his front wing. The left end plate on his front wing looks like it has been removed. But other than that, it looks like he's okay.
Jeroen was leading then half a second in front of his teammate Michal Antohovsky, and he is leading Meteor. We saw him having a good start, but unfortunately for him, dropped back to P3. It's being followed by his teammate Paschalis Georges, and then it's Rens Klopp, the very quick driver, currently in third place in the championship, I think, after he was second, but not attending for Spa. Ragusa must have overtaken him, I think, in the championship standings. Prieto then is in sixth, reasonably good start for him. Francesconi in seventh, and the list goes on. Masciuli is the driver who was on the prime tire, the first driver who was on the prime tire. He's in 8th, and Fabrizio Gobbi is behind him. Van der Niet had a good start, he is up to P10, so he will be happy with that one. And the driver's getting nicely through the first lap with one victim, really, Victor Ivanov. And I'm not sure, but maybe he spun on his own. I don't know whether you saw that, Justin.
No, I'm not sure if there was any contact or anything.
Okay, well, nonetheless though, there was one driver that was driving a bit behind, but no major incidents. That is very good to see in his first and opening lap of this tricky Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's about 8 seconds down on campus right now, is Ivanov. The good news is, though, at the very least, he's got clear air, so he doesn't have to worry about traffic or anything. But of course, you know, what's going on in the mind of a racing driver after something like that is, what can I do to try and make that time back? What can I do with my strategy, with my pit stops? What can I do to get back into this and get into a points-paying position?
He's a little bit in the position of Max Verstappen in Singapore last time round. Obviously, Max Verstappen had the luck that there was a safety car in F1, which we unfortunately, maybe you could not call it unfortunate, but whatever, we don't have that in FSR. So it's going to be a bit trickier for Victor Ivanov to come up the field, but he can take some inspiration from Verstappen, who knows.
Looks like Jem's kind of breaking away now. It certainly seems to me that the gap is increasing. It looks like it was over 1.2 seconds last time we checked, so he's already got Mikhail out of DRS range. So it's looking pretty good for Jem so far. My main question would be, when do you think the pit lap or the pit window is going to be opening? When do you think we're going to see people coming into the pits to change tires?
On the super soft tire right now, I'm sure Jeroen is trying to push hard in order to create a gap. In that way, or in that case, I would say 8 or 9 laps, something like that on the super soft tire. If you really want to make them last, you can go further than 10 laps, but as I said, when you save tires, it has a major impact on your lap times, and it's the question whether you want to take that compromise, you know. But usually I would expect about lap 9, something like that.
And he's lucky, though. He's got his teammate behind him as well, playing the sort of rear gunner role to Hoyer in third position as it stands right now. So he's got that gap, but then also the car behind him is his teammate as well, so that helps too.
Definitely a bit of a battle for P15 with Thiago Almeida, Giuseppe Ragusa, Jatsi Pantelis and Riera. Ragusa was one of those guys who started from the back of the grid, but is in fact a very strong driver. Mara Godek, who started from the back, also has had a good start, up to P13 already. Fantastic start for him as Ragusa goes deep. George Schatzipantelis follows his line, going a little bit deep in the place where the old Singapore sling used to be. And this battle is in fact starting to settle down, with the quicker guys starting to pull away. So
yeah, a little bit of a train behind Almeida.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, they were quite close to each other entering turn 7, which is the end of the DRS zone. But nothing too serious at the moment. Seems like Ragusa is sticking nicely with Almeida at the moment, which you would expect since Ragusa is a very decent driver. In front of that, it's Heestebeek, Godek and Hodes, 3 drivers which are very controlled usually. Godek, the one being the one who is usually most aggressive. Sometimes it costs him that a place or 2 if he is a bit too aggressive and makes a mistake. Certainly looking good so far in this race. Lap 3 of the race, DRS should be enabled. See whether anyone is going to take advantage, although the gaps at the top, at least, or at the top, seem quite big to each other, and Bodok Bassi is doing an awesome job at the moment at pulling away. And this is what I said before the race, Justin, as well. Polo Bassi, obviously, he's early in his FSR career, but he has been quite impressive. And I said it before, even though he's so early in his FSR career, he seems the kind of driver who could control a 8-second gap, for example, and just take it home and take the win via a nice controlled race.
Yep, and he's in a great position to do that right now. I believe Klopp was the first of the drivers to get DRS in that group. I don't think the top 4 got DRS. Certainly, I don't think anyone in the top 4 got DRS. So Klopp there, the first one to pick up DRS. Prieto, I'm not sure if he got DRS. It's very marginal, that gap between the two of them, as we're getting an update now as they're coming into Sector 3 at the end of lap number 3 of this 49-lap race, which is just such a daunting number when you consider how long of a lap time it is.
Yeah, I compare it a little bit like Spa. It's a few seconds quicker than Spa, but Spa was like 30-something, 36, 5, I don't know, even 34 maybe. But this is just 49 laps long. It almost looks like a hell for a driver. It almost becomes an endurance championship when you race, especially in WC tomorrow.
And I mean, from La Source all the way down to Lacombe, you're really not doing all that much at Spa. Same thing when you come out of Curveball Frere as well. You get that nice long flat out section with really just Blanchimont and nothing else. So you get all that time to kind of rest and relax and just give your mind a break from the hectic nature of the corners and stuff. And here at Singapore, you don't get that. I mean, here as they're on the DRS straight, this is really the only place that you can really relax, and it's also the primary overtaking location. I'm going to imagine anyway.
Jeroen is trying to put a little bit of pressure under Antohovsky's car. Last time Hoyer was about 4/10 quicker than Antohovsky. Antohovsky himself is 2.3 seconds down on Jem Bolok-Bassi at the moment, so Jem definitely looking strong, as you have mentioned yourself as well. Klopp also on the back of George, so we may see some interesting battles over here. Also, catching up to one driver is one thing, but overtaking is another thing. Dirty air definitely being an effect around this track, although most corners are relatively low speed corners, so the dirty air effect is worse when you have high speed corners. That is maybe a little bit of a positive news for drivers who are keen on overtaking. But at the same time, the downforce levels are so high around this track. I don't think anyone is running a particular low downforce setup, and why would you be around a track like this?
Yeah, you're just going to lose out too much in the corners. I mean, you're turning the wheel for like 80% of the lap around here, or at least that's what it feels like just watching them. And the final couple of corners, I mean, that's one of the few high-speed corners on the circuit. There's only a handful of high-speed corners on the circuit, and really a lot of those are just medium-speed corners. So I'd say the final couple of corners are really the only ones where you're going to feel that dirty air effect. Of course, then you're only a couple corners away from the DRS detection and activation points as well. So going to be losing out a little bit towards the end of the lap, but yeah, it's looking very good for Bolok-Bassi as it stands right now. Hoyer definitely within DRS range now. He wasn't on lap number 3, but here on lap number 5, he's absolutely within DRS. He didn't seem to close up all that much on Mihail. Sorry if I'm pronouncing any names wrong, but he's definitely right up there with him now. I'm not sure if he's just trying to stick with him or if he's actually planning to attack, but he's in a much better position than he was a couple of laps ago.
We're starting to come close to the end of the stints here. What would you do as a driver? It seems relatively hard for these drivers to overtake. Can you go for an undercut or maybe even stay out a little bit longer? Maybe you've saved your tires a little bit, who knows? Let's see what these drivers have got. As I said, starting to come close to the end of their stint.
And George is starting to fall away as well. He's over 3 seconds behind Hoyer now.
Yeah, definitely. Georges can't keep up at the moment. He did a 1:45.3 last time round. The top is in the mid 44s, so that's about 8/10 of the pace. And he keeps Rens Klopp behind him as well. You know that Rens Klopp is quick. Usually the guy who's really good on tire wear and stuff. So let's see whether Rens Klopp can attack Georges towards the end of the stint. Although Klopp, I'm not sure whether he is within DRS. I'll have a look right now. He is within DRS, but he is just too far back to do anything, and that is the case for most drivers here at the moment.
Yeah,
although,
far too.
having
He's
said
about
that,
9/10 back.
Having said that, look at P12. Hasterbeck is being pressured by Marek Godek. Godek has a look on the inside and goes on the inside of the first turn. A good move by them, but nothing too serious. These guys are two go-speed drivers, so Hasterbeck knew what he had to do there. But Hasterbeck going a bit deeper to the final two corners and is now being pressured by, is that Hodes? Yes, that is Hodes. And Hodes goes for the cutback, for the switchback. And he has DRS here as well, down the straight.
Yep, he's got DRS. Hasterbeck does as well, and Hodes is going to have to go around the outside. No, he actually takes the position before the corner. Very nicely done there. So he gains a position. Hasterbeck, unfortunately, losing a couple of positions there. You mentioned one to a teammate, of course, but I'm sure that's not how he wanted that to go down. And Ragusa all over the back of him as well. If he's not careful, he's going to lose another position pretty soon here.
He needs to stick with Hodes as well if he can. Tries to sneak DRS off him. Godek is looking strong at the moment, already on the back of Teemu Varkijärvi, who is behind Danny van der Niet. Van der Niet currently in 10th, so that is good for him. A suspect which we don't always see in the top 10, but he does so now. And did you see that? Godek just going for a look on the inside there. He's trying to make Teemu sure that he looks in his mirrors and knows that he is there.
Well, I think he knows he's there. I think it'd be hard to miss that. Godek definitely showing himself in the mirrors there to Teemu. And Teemu will get DRS. Godek will as well, but Teemu's going to be able to use that DRS to defend. So if he can manage to just take the corners properly, then I don't think he'll be under too much threat. And is that Van der Nij or Van der Niet?
Van der Niet.
Van der Niet, thank you.
Yep.
And he's definitely the one that's in a bit of trouble there. He's got 5 cars right behind him, actually. Talk about a bit of a train forming there. You can see the gap ahead of him, actually. Fabrizio is pretty far up the road, and here we are in the DRS zone now. And is he going to defend? Oh!
Teemu Varkijärvi spins off after making contact with Danny van der Niet. Definitely a front wing just completely lost there for Teemu Varkijärvi. He's gonna have to go back to the pit lane. Wonder what happened there. Need to look at the replay. Definitely a miscalculation from both drivers. It was just Teemu. Wow, Teemu lost his rear end in that little kink.
Yeah, he got a bit of oversteer in that kink with the DRS open, I suppose, and that just caused the contact. His car spun a little bit to the right-hand side, and just that light contact sends him into the barrier, and that is not good for his race.
Certainly not good for Danny van der Niet's race either. Definitely dropped a few positions. Does he have suspension damage? I think yes. At least he has got some kind of damage. His pit light is on. Presuming he's going into the pit this lap because he has a problem. Hasterbeck is all over him as well. It means Godek comes into the top 10. Godek has got quite a good pace, in fact. He's in clean air right now. We'll see what he is going to do. The leaders are still doing a good job, although Jembo Lubasi last time round lost half a second to Michal Antohovsky, who has been upping his pace a little bit, Justin. He's right now, in fact, about 1.5 seconds in front of Mitchie Hoyer. So Mitchie has fallen back a little bit. In fact, it's about 2 seconds, I would say, judging visually. So that is good for him. And we see the first couple of drivers in the pit lane already. One of them is Rens Klopp. So that's interesting. A name who's usually very kind of on his tires going into the pit lane here already. Maybe trying to go for an undercut as he felt he was stuck. That could be the case.
And this is great news for Viktor Ivanov, actually, who was down in 21st position. And after all of the excitement of the first 7 laps, he's found himself in sort of a net 16th position. He's now in 14th as a result of the pit stops, but he was in 16th before everyone went into the pits. So he's about halfway to getting back into a points-paying position. So good job by Viktor. And he's actually not that far off Riera as well. I mean, it's more than a second. I don't believe he got DRS. No, he did not get DRS. It's about 1.8 seconds to the car ahead of Viktor as it stands right now. And just going back to the leaders as well, the gap between between Balapasi and how do you pronounce his last name?
Antohovsky.
Yeah. Antohovsky. Okay. That gap has stabilized as well. I don't know if Jem is letting off a little. Maybe he was just pushing in the opening laps, build that gap, get it to over 2 seconds, and then manage that gap and control that tire wear. But that gap certainly has stabilized. We don't know the reason for it, of course, but it doesn't seem like Jem is pulling away like he was in the opening laps.
I'll see what he does in terms of lap time. He's right now doing high 44s. Mikhail was doing low 44s, has also gone to the high 44s at the moment. So they are, as you have said, Justin, stabilizing and pretty much equal in terms of phase at the moment. But I guess that these guys are going to come towards the end of their stint. Now have a look at Bolek-Bassi. He doesn't have his pit light on. Antohovsky has got his pit light on though, so we may expect him into the pit lane. But these guys need to work as a team right now. In order to keep Mitchie Hoyer behind, obviously, because Hoyer is definitely a quick guy, and he's in fact starting to put some pressure once again on Antohovsky, as he is having relatively good pace. It's only a couple of hundredths of a second quicker, but it is something.
And Georges is in a little bit of a lonely position now as well, a little bit over 4 seconds to Hoyer. And just about 2 seconds to Prieto, so Georges is able to. Was that some body work he went over there? I think it might have been, but he's able to kind of run his own pace as it stands right now. I'm sure he's going to be keeping an eye on that gap to Prieto behind him, but if he's in fact managing his tires, that would explain why he was kind of dropping off the top 3 earlier in the race. If he's just looking to go for a longer stint.
I expect a lot of guys going into the pit lane about this lap. We'll see whether that causes any kind of dramas in the pit lane itself. Bolek-Bassi hasn't got his pit light on. It's relatively late in the lap, so I don't see him going into the pit lane. Michał Antohovsky may be going into the pit lane. No, he's got his pit light on, and he indeed goes for that inside line and goes into the pit lane. The first one out of the top 3 who's actually going to pit. There's a little bit of troubles there going in the pit entry, but I don't blame him. It's in fact a very tricky pit entry. So far, no more people in the pit lane, at least it doesn't look like it. So these guys are going relatively long on their tires. And Antohovsky is going to come out in P7. Will be a little bit close with Godek. He's in fact going to come out behind Godek. So that is P8 for him then. There goes Godek. And Antohovsky rejoins in P8. Gap to Jem Bolek-Bassi was 2.5 seconds before. We'll have a look at what it is when Jem is going to pit. Which... well, I presume won't be in a long time. I presume he's going to pit about this lap or next lap. We'll see what he does.
And Mikhail on new super soft rubber, while Godek is on the prime tires. So he's got a little bit of he's got Godek in front of him, who I'm sure he's going to want to try and clear. And he does have the benefit of the softer tires, and they're extremely fresh right now. I'm not sure how long it's going to take him to get those things up to temperature. But after Godek, he's got some nice clean air, so I'd say that was a pretty good pit stop for him.
Rens Klop in the meantime got past Ruud Heestebeek for P9, so that's good for Rens Klop, finding himself into clean air a little bit as he went for the very early undercut. And so far only Mikhail pitted as well from the top runners. Obviously Rens Klop was battling with Georges before. We'll see whether that undercut has worked, as Georges has got his pit light on, so he presumably is going to pit. Jem Bolek-Bassi isn't going to pit this lap. Now this is something I find interesting, because Jem Bolek-Bassi had the upper hand throughout the whole first stint, but he keeps on going, showing that he's got some tire life left in those tires as well. So that was not the best most likely he could do. Mitchie Hoyer also stays out for the moment, and Georges indeed comes into the pit lane.
Yeah, Bolek-Bassi looking fantastic. I can't believe he's going on for an 11th lap on these super soft tires, especially after how he broke away. I mean, as you said, clearly he had time in his pocket. If he was able to pull away like that and still go to lap number 11, I mean, surely he's going to be coming in this lap or very shortly, I've got to imagine, on these super soft tires. But do you think that could mean, is he going to try and two-stop? Is that even possible with 38 laps remaining? He'd have to do a couple of 19-lap stints on the softs. That sounds pretty difficult to me.
He would have to do 2 times prime, that's for sure. I doubt it will happen. What could happen though is Rens Klop overtaking Paschalis Georges, who just pitted, went onto the prime tire, and Klop has DRS on him over here into turn 7. Paschalis Georges defends the inside. Klop is gonna have to go around the outside, and he does so brilliantly. Keeps it on the track as well by a centimeter or 2. Paschalis immediately on the attack. Klop covering the inside line for the next corner, and Klop has got that move done. Very impressive move around the outside and keeping it nicely on track. Very nice, that's the kind of stuff we like to see. Good driving respect between the two. As Timo Varkejärvi has just retired, I think. We've got 4 retirements. Chris de Jong, who had still PC issues. Almeida, Shatsi Pantelis with suspension damage. and Timo retired about 2 laps ago. So we've got 17 drivers remaining in this long race. We said it so many times before, and Jeroen Bassi, you would expect him to pit. He's indeed going to do so, most likely, as he's got his pit light on, and he went over the pit entry line.
I saw that too.
I don't know whether the stewards are going to find anything illegal about that. It's definitely sure that you cannot cross the entry line over those curbs, so you would think that's that going over the pit entry line itself before the left-hander is also illegal. Not sure though. Once again, he gets very close to the outside line of the pit exit, but he rejoins the track, and he's indeed on the prime. Rejoins the track in P4 behind Mashuli, who was also on the prime tire still.
Yep, and what's his teammate on? Actually, his teammate is in fact on the Super Soft, so we could see a bit of an inner team battle beginning here with the difference in tire types, unless there's some sort of team orders or something like that. But or unless Bolek Bassi is just that fast that he can actually pull away on the primes too. I mean, that could be the case.
Well, have a look at that. Certainly, it's an interesting battle starting to shape up here. The gap was 2.5 seconds as soon as Kweekel pitted. It is right now about 1.9, so Kweekel gained 6/10 by that undercut. But still, that's not too much. I mean, Jeroen Bassi stayed out for 2 or 3 laps more. I think it's 3 in fact. At only 6/10 in those 3 laps. I take my hat off for Bolek Bassi at the moment. Who's driving very controlled, very nicely as well. Seems to have good pace.
And Prieto is still out actually, and he's still out on super soft tires. That's incredible. Yep. He's done 12 laps on this set of super soft tires from Prieto. That's very impressive from the Ghost Speed driver.
Yeah, both Prieto and Francesconi are still out on that super soft tire, but I'm sure that they are having a few issues with those tires. They're going to be going off, that's for sure. Prieto will come in the pit lane, that's for sure. Francesconi does not follow him. Francesconi stays out, so does his teammate, of course, but his teammate, Eros Mashuli, is on that prime tire.
Right.
And we'll see what these Inventa cars can do. They were quickest in qualifying, especially in Q1. Maybe a bit of bad luck in Q2, although the crash from Eros was his own fault. But then Francesconi caught up in a bit of debris from his teammate. They were definitely looking quick though at that point. And now they need to start off with a different strategy, that's for sure.
And the gap behind behind Bolek Bassi, his teammate, is not big at all. He's not going to get DRS on this lap, but based on how much he gained on that last lap, of course, Jem was on the cold prime tires last lap, so maybe that was the difference. But he has closed on him, down on him pretty significantly, actually. It's about 1.5 seconds the gap between them as it stands right now. And I think it was a little over 2 seconds when he came out of the pits. So, I mean, we're looking at over a half-second gain on his teammate last lap. So, Mikhail might be a threat to Jem here pretty soon, possibly next lap.
He's looking certainly strong. He's actually fastest lap or fastest driver out of the track. That's no surprise. Also went purple in the first sector. In that first sector, though, he gained 1/100th of a second on Bolek Bassi, his teammate. If you look at the second sectors, obviously, once again, Mikhail goes purple over there, about 3/10 quicker than Bolek Bassi. So he's closing down, as you have said, Justin. See whether he can hit the back of that Origin car, his teammate. In how many laps can he do it? It's the question. And he's closing down quite rapidly. But then again, how is he going to overtake? Obviously, he's got the tire advantage, but surely something in his head must be saying as well, you know, it's my teammate, keep it a bit clean. But I'm sure if he gets the opportunity, he's going to go for it, that's for sure.
Yep, especially with the tire difference as Francesconi pits at the end of lap number 13. 13 laps on a set of super soft tires, and at the start of the race as well, when these cars are fat with fuel. That's pretty impressive. Let's see where he comes out. It looks like he's put on the prime tires, and it looks like he's going to drop down to about 7th. But yeah, good first stint for him, at least as far as number of laps completed, as Godek actually just sneaks by him, relegates him down into 8th position.
What could?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was Prieto. My mistake.
What could be an interesting situation here as well is Eros Mashuli still staying out. He's on an old set of prime tires. When is he going to pit? That's the question. I don't think he's going to pit for the next 3-4 laps, which does mean that Bolek Bassi will be behind him, because Bolek Bassi is obviously on fresh tires, and in fact he's about 1.7 seconds quicker a lap. than Mashuli at the moment is Jambolo Bassi. So he's going to hit the back of that car in front of him from Mashuli. But is he going to get stuck behind him? And if he is going to get stuck, for how long? And can Kweekel capitalize on that? It's going to be an interesting situation unless Mashuli decides to pit about now. But let's have a look. I don't see his pit light on yet. No, it is indeed not on yet, so I doubt he will be in the pit lane this lap.
And of course, Mikhail's tires, the option super soft tires, those are going to drop off quicker than Bullock Bassi's prime tires, harder prime tires. So it's actually, this could be more devastating to Mikhail than it could be to Bullock Bassi.
Yeah, Bullock Bassi, I mean, don't count him out. I mean, he is having superb pace as well on these prime tires. He is. We'll have a look at the lap times this lap round, or at the lap times this lap around. But well, Bullock Bassi with a 43.7 and Kweekel did a 44.0. So in fact, Jem gained 3/10 on the last lap over the course of the last lap on his teammate, and that is impressive. Maybe Kweekel making a mistake. He in fact lost about 3/10 in the first sector alone. So maybe a mistake from Kweekel in the first sector. But Kweekel needs to try to make the best out of this situation, try to catch up to his teammate while he is stuck. And Jem certainly is stuck behind Eros Mashuli at the moment. We'll see whether he goes for a crazy dive or anything like that. Mashuli is the driver who is usually very clean. He knows that he doesn't really have a chance at the moment against Jem. So what is Jem going to do? And how is he going to overtake? Or is he just going to simply wait for the DRS? That may be a good and wise choice. But he's running out of time if he wants to keep the gap to his teammate.
Yep, yeah, he is definitely running out of time here. And he did get DRS on this lap, but unfortunately he was just too far back. He was about 7/10 back, and that DRS was just enough to get him right up on the back of Mashuli as he moves to the inside line now and makes a pretty easy move there. Squeezes him out a little bit there at the exit of the corner and takes back that first place position. Of course, Mashuli a little bit out of position considering he hasn't pit yet. But this is a great opportunity for Jem. He's got several corners still to go in this lap, and I'm not sure if Mikhail is going to be able to overtake Mashuli before the DRS zone. So this is a great opportunity for Jem, whereas Mikhail needs to possibly see if he can get by. I don't see it though. He's only got a couple of corners before DRS really, and yeah, I think he's going to be stuck behind him. And look at the gap that Jem already has built.
Indeed, a very, very big gap. Mikhail and Tuhovsky having DRS down the start-finish straight. I think though, Mashuli had DRS himself as well.
I think so. I think you're right.
As a defense. But he's not going to have DRS, I think, down this next DRS zone. But Antohovsky, I doubt whether he is close enough at the moment. He has a good exit, but I think he's too far back to do anything in turn 7 here.
Yeah, he could try. I mean, he has the ability to be a lot later on the brakes here on the super soft tires, and he does make. Oh man, he moved to the inside line, but he just could not get alongside. So unfortunately for him, it looks like he might be stuck behind for another entire lap, which around here is quite a bit. So he's going to be losing out to his teammate all the while.
Yeah, he definitely makes sure that Eros sees him in the mirrors, trying to move a bit to the inside, but obviously it's more to scare the driver in front of you more than anything else. He can't do anything at the moment, he's too far back. He goes for another line over there though, but he fails to execute it well because he locked the rear tires going into the hairpin. He needs to make the pass as soon as possible because Mitchie Hoyer in the background is also starting to close up. And Hoyer has gone on the prime tire himself too, so Kweekel is actually starting to lose out in this stint, in his super soft stint, because he's being compromised by Eros at the moment. And Mitchie Hoyer is starting to knock on the door.
Yeah, I noticed that actually, that Hoyer actually is being brought back into this. Maybe not necessarily for the lead, because again, Jem has completely broken away. But Hoyer definitely could be a threat to second place possibly here as we cross the line once again to start another lap. And he's going to have to do it here. But he has a little look. He dives out of the slipstream there under braking for turn 1. And this is crunch time for him. He has to get by here and now.
Let's have a look. This is an important corner. Turn 5 gets a nice run out on that. And he has a nice run on the person in front of him as well. Is he close enough this time though in the slipstream? We know that he can brake later. Else Mashuli goes defensive. He brakes very late though, and what a move. Keeps it nicely on the track as well. Great move from Kweekel and Tuhovsky. Don't get me wrong, he has the grip, the additional grip, but you need to do it, and he did so very nicely there. Good move.
Yep, very nicely done. And now Hoyer, of course, is the one that has to do it. So Musculi is sort of the moving chicane in this group, with being out of position on those pretty old prime tires. I mean, those tires are now 16 and a half laps old. So yeah, they're definitely not in their freshest state. So he's probably struggling. And actually, it looks like Hoyer is getting a nice slipstream here. Is he going to be able to try anything? No. Oh, actually, he does dive up the inside there. He wasn't really able to complete the maneuver, though, as he had to leave room there. But you can tell he's definitely anxious to get by.
Shuli has got his pit light on. We might see him coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap. That's the question. Is he going to do it? I think he will do it. 17 laps. That's enough, I think, on the prime tire here, especially on the full tank of fuel. Gets caught off the anti-curb a little bit there and indeed dives into the pit lane. So Mashuli in the pit lane releases Mitchie Hoyer. Let's see what Mitchie Hoyer can do in comparison with Anton Hofsky.
And now's the time when I'm probably watching the gap, actually, between first and second, because Mikhail is about 3.5 seconds off of his teammate right now. Of course, they were navigating traffic and all that, so we don't know exactly the pace difference between them, but with Bullet Bossy being on the harder tires, I mean, I would say that this has been a benefit to him overall, even though he might have lost some time. Ooh, as Musculi coming out of the pits, going side by side with Hodis as well. Oh man, and just squeezing him out a little bit there. Hodis is going to get DRS on him now, though. And is Musculi going to get DRS off Gobi, though? And I think he is. Yep, and he sure does. So he's fed right into a little battle here, actually, in the back.
Too far back though to do anything obviously now about the position of Fabrizio Gobi, close enough. Both Italian, I believe. George is being pressured by Prieto. Prieto quite close behind and lost a little bit of pace over the course of this lap. He was close in the DRS zone but lost out a little bit, maybe because of the dirty air. Rens Klopp at the moment doing 144.2. It's about equal in terms of pace to the leader, but Klopp also being on the super soft tires, so even Klopp cannot match Jem at the moment, who is, let me have a quick look, he's in fact quickest on the track, apart from Godek. Godek is the only one in the 43s at the moment, and Godek is on the prime tire himself as well, in 8th place.
The Prime's looking like they're actually working pretty well here. Jurgis as well went onto the Prime tires, just like Bullet Bossy. As you mentioned, he does have Prieto all over the back of him right now, as he's taken a very different line through the final corner there. That was a little strange. I think Prieto was thinking the same thing. Ooh, and a bit of a lockup heading into turn one. Runs a little bit wide. Jurgis is definitely under a lot of pressure here from Prieto as we're about to head into the DRS zone. Prieto in a great position to try and take that spot off of Jurgis. This is for 4th, and Jurgis looking a little bit tentative through turn number 5 there. He moves to the right-hand side of the track. Prieto in the slipstream with the DRS as well. Is he going to be able to do anything? He moves to the outside. Jurgis defends the inside line at turn number 7 and actually defends that position very well. Great job by Jurgis.
Nothing Prieto could have done there. Good defensive driving from Jurgis, as Prieto's a little bit out of shape for turn 8. Nothing too serious. To catch that drift. Rens Klopp in the meantime pitted. No surprises there, he obviously pitted very early before. And I see Mashuli battling with Gobi at the moment. So that battle is still going on, but Mashuli at the moment can't get past. And Klopp fed out in 10th place. He is now on the prime tire, so it's his turn to shine that harder compound.
Which is actually looking stronger than I expected. I expected the Super Soft probably to be the better race tire, but these drivers really showing that the Prime is pretty fantastic, actually.
Yeah, maybe we should reconsider our strategy, Justin. Or not? No? Okay. No, but yeah, the Prime tire looking good at the moment. Most of these drivers have been incredibly stable as well. Remember, there are 20 laps gone. Usually you would be about at about the halfway mark of the race right about now. Still see that there are 17 drivers in is quite nice. It's a very demanding track for every driver, but so far these guys have kept it relatively clean which is good to see as Prieto once again knocks on the door of Pascal's Georges.
And I'm kind of wondering what the weather forecast is looking like right now, if you wouldn't mind updating us on that, as Georges again defending from Prieto, this time not having to defend the inside line though as they head into turn number 7. Georges is able to just take the racing line there. Prieto runs a little bit wide over the curbing there. I'm not sure how much time, if any, he lost through there, but as you mentioned, that battle is still continuing on right now, and it's looking like Georges has the advantage as it stands right now. And of course, as every lap goes by, Georges' tire advantage is only going to get larger and larger over Prieto. It's just going to get harder and harder for him to get by.
Good point. Very good point.
Meanwhile, Francesconi not too far behind as well. Let's see if I can find out. Georges doing a 45.0 last lap. Francesconi doing a 44.4, so it's 6/10 last lap that he has managed to close up on Georges. Running well in 6th position right now, with a pretty big gap back to Godek. Godek with a big gap actually in both directions. 3 seconds to Francesconi and 6 seconds back to Fabrizio. Georges still defending as we come to the end of the lap through the high-speed corner, I believe the highest speed corner, other than turn 6 at Raffles Boulevard, which is, of course, barely a corner at all, unless you ask Timu Valkjärvi. He might say that's a pretty intense corner. But Georges, again, under attack here as we go through the first handful of corners and into the DRS zone. Prieto not that far behind. Does look like he lost a little bit of time through the opening corners of the lap, though, and again, it looks like Georges is just too far ahead. I don't think Prieto is going to... Georges moving far to the right-hand side after that turn 6 kink, I think, to get Prieto as out of his slipstream as much as he possibly could. And once again, Prieto not even able to get alongside of Georges. So it's definitely looking better and better for Pascal's.
Pascal's, Justin. Pascal's.
I can't do that thing with my throat.
You need to make your throat work. You need to make your throat work. That's what he said. Nonetheless, though, we're looking at Mikhail Antonovsky. He just pitted, dropped down to P7.
And now he's on the primes, so now it's his turn on the prime
yep.
tires.
Good point. And I've been looking at the weather forecast. Definitely no rain predicted. There's some rain tomorrow, though. Looks like it could be quite a rainy day tomorrow. Throughout the whole day, in fact. But who knows, maybe it's going to change. I mean, a lot can happen in 24 hours. So it's better to judge tomorrow what's going to happen in terms of weather for WC. But this is not WC, this is ACE. And I can, I'll be pretty sure, I can confirm you that it's most likely not going to rain.
Yep. Well, that's a bit unfortunate, but at the same time, it's probably good as far as finishing the race.
Yep.
Having as many finishers at the end of the race, because man, I would hate to know what it feels like to drive around this circuit on old prime tires with rain starting to come down. I can only imagine the lack of grip that someone would be experiencing in that sort of situation, as it looks like Prieto's into the pits now.
Prieto lost his box a little bit, had to reverse.
Oh.
Lost a little bit of time over there, in fact. Yeah, surely wanted to maybe go for an undercut on Georges, but I think he's going to lose out a little bit because he made that mistake. He had to go into reverse. We see that happening sometimes. Drivers who just cannot get in their pit box. I am one of the drivers who has quite a bit of experience with that. I can even crash in the pit lane. That's how special I am. But it's sometimes it's a bit tricky, but you need to get the swing of it. Just practice, and then it's fine for the races itself too. Prieto fed out in P10 behind Klopp. Klopp again, obviously going with an early pit stop. He's in fact a little bit of a different strategy, I would almost say. Maybe he's going to make an additional pit stop compared to the rest of the field. I'm not entirely sure.
Yep, I think that is possible. What tires is he on right now? He's on the prime tires, and I think this is his first prime tire stint, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So
correct.
Yeah, he might be making an extra stop potentially. Just going back on Antahowski, he is in clean air, actually. He's pitted into a great position on the track, so he's not out of this just yet. Bullock Bossi is definitely going to have to beware. He's of course on pretty old prime tires as it stands right now. His last lap was a 44.0. His teammate has yet to put in a flying lap on this set of prime tires, but he's going to be doing exactly that pretty soon here, actually. And there he goes across the line. And what was the lap time from him is a 42.9, which is significantly faster than his teammate, actually. So the undercut here could be pretty strong, and we could see that inter-team battle coming back into play here. Bullock Bossi, I assume, is going to be coming out of the pits. When he does pit, he's going to be coming out on fresh super soft tires. But as we've seen with previous battles, the super soft tires aren't necessarily the better race tire.
No, it's in terms of battling, it's just in general a tricky track to overtake. I mean, everyone is going to agree on that, and you need to, in order to make a really convincing overtake without any mistakes from the opponent in front of you, you either need to be a god and have god speed, or you have to be a bit be on a different strategy. The driver in front of you is on the warm primes while you are on super soft tire fresh. That is the only chance you're going to overtake, most likely, unless of course you are quite a bit quicker. But still, it's in general a tricky track to overtake on. And what I find quite a big shame is that Godek, who's currently running in 4th and actually is starting to close up on the back of Michael Francesconi. It's a shame that this guy had the back of the grid. Obviously it was his own fault by getting a back of the grid, most likely because of a cut in the quali. But he is equaling Jem's pace. In fact, he has been a bit quicker last lap by about 2/10. He's the only driver in the 43s and he's going into the pit lane. Marek Godek is running really solid and really quick as well, and matching the leader's pace, but he is 20 seconds behind the leader because of the penalty, of course, as he's in the pit lane then, and goes for the prime tire, I think.
Primes.
Yep. Yes.
Interesting. I was going to say
Prime
that felt like a pretty early stop to me, who is, of course, not familiar with racing in this series at all. So, but that felt like an early stop to me. So I can't say I'm all that surprised that he's thrown on a set of the prime tires here. He's fed out just ahead of Hesterbeek as well. And they're coming onto the DRS straight, but I think he's got him out of, he's not going to get DRS off of him. And of course he's got the fresher tires as well. Hesterbeek is on the super soft tires, but they are quite old at this point, so he shouldn't really be under any sort of threat. And who is it that's ahead of him? And it's Prieto, actually, his teammate Prieto, pretty far up the road. So Godek's got some nice clear air here, and he can really show us exactly that speed that he's got.
Mika Antohovsky needs another about 1.5 seconds if he wants to be close to Jem Bolak-Bassi when he is going to pit. So that's the target for him, another 1.5 seconds. Pit time is about 20 seconds. The gap time between Antohovsky and Bolak-Bassi is at the moment 20.8, so it's looking relatively good. And Bolak-Bassi in fact is pitting right now. I think that's a very wise choice.
Yes.
If he wants to stay ahead of Antohovsky. That's a very nicely planned stop. Michi Hoyer is in as well, no dramas there. Bolak-Bassi obviously on the super soft tire. Hoyer goes for that as well. Let's have a look now. Excuse me, Jem Bolak-Bassi on the pit entry. Here comes Francesconi. What is he going to do in terms of Francesconi? He is going to feed out behind him. And there is his teammate then in the background. And that gap is indeed about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate for Mikhail. If his teammate had just stayed out for one lap longer, I think he would have fed out behind him, probably within DRS range though. So, but then we might have seen a side-by-side teammate battle heading into turn number 7.
Oh, someone's off. Oh, someone is Alessio Campos. Sorry to interrupt you, Alessio Campos has gone straight off.
Yeah.
On turn 7. And what happened there? Just braking for the corner. Oh, that's a brake failure. The first brake failure of the weekend. And we may see some more because this is a demanding track. If you haven't practiced enough, you haven't done race simulations or whatever, or time scaled simulations, whatever, and you don't have the right brake duct, then you can say bye-bye to finishing.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Does that mean he picked the wrong brake duct?
Yep, yeah, definitely. Also depends a little bit on the brake discs you are running and the brake pads, maybe, but the duct has.
He's moving again.
Yeah, maybe he tried to pull down the brakes or something, but I don't see those brakes coming back. He's going to have to be really careful. But I would say have the focus right now on Jem Bassi, who's right on the back of our leader Michael Francesconi. It's getting really tricky with all the Michael and Michael and whatever. Francesconi though not going into the pit lane this lap. We've just crossed the halfway mark of this race, and Bassi following him, goes deep though.
So much understeer.
Yep, definitely in the dirty air, got him caught out. And Mikael Antoholski is knocking on the door of Bassi. We see a similar situation, Justin, which we have seen in the previous stint, but this time it's Michael Francesconi in front and not Eros Masciuli.
Yeah, so these guys are constantly having to deal with sort of out of position cars, if you will. And it looks like Bassi getting a really nice slipstream here as we head into turn number 7. He moves to the inside line. It doesn't look like Michael's going to fight him too much there. They're still side by side coming out of turn 7, heading into turn 8. Jem Bassi's going to have to go around the outside. He does the switchback on him. He's going to get a better run, but it's a very short run down to turn 9. And they both just sort of take the racing line there. So unfortunately, that's a failed overtake attempt for Jem Bassi. And that's going to mean wonderful. Ooh, it looks like he's getting very eager there at turn number 10. Looking like he really, really wants to get by, of course, with his teammate right behind him, just knocking on that door and just getting closer as well. That gap's really, really small now. And here they go down the straight towards turn number 14. Jem moves to the inside line. Oh, and he again, though, he's unable to make the move. He gets much better traction coming out of the hairpin corner. Wow. But again, Francesconi really on it and preventing Jem from being able to get by there. And this is all wonderful news for Mikhail.
I'm quite impressed with Michael at the moment. I thought Jem was going to have a much better run on the exit of the hairpin. He really positioned himself for that, but still couldn't do it. Francesconi being late on the brakes, and why wouldn't he be? This is some spectacular entertainment for us, obviously, and we all want to see that. Again, we see the different turning points from both drivers here. Jem Bassi keeping it on track though. Down the start-finish straight they go, and Jem Bassi has a look on the inside, but again is too far back. And Mikael needs to try to capitalize on this somehow if he can, because I am thinking that, or I think rather, that Jem is going to have him right here, right now.
Yep, very, very close as they come through turn number 5. He is all over the gearbox of Francesconi. Mikhail not that far behind. The best situation would be if he could overtake Francesconi as well. Bassi grabs the inside line for turn number 7. And is Francesconi going to fight him at the exit once again? He's just, no, and Bassi takes the position. Antoholski, oh my gosh, very, very close between the two of them. Masciuli and Hoyer right behind as well. 5 cars separated by less than 2 seconds, it looks.
Yeah, obviously these guys are on a different strategy as well, but Francesconi just not giving up there despite being on the slower tire. Great to see that someone actually battles. And now he has got Antoholski behind him. Antoholski going on the inside here, don't turn into each other, guys, which they did. Not a lot of space was given by Francesconi, who just turned into the corner. Maybe it was a bit too aggressive from Antoholski. You can all argue that. I'm not going to do that. That's not up to me. And Antoholski goes too deep into the corner, hits the barrier, and loses a piece of his front wing end plate. And he made that happen himself, I think. He got caught up too much by the tension there.
Yep, definitely lost an end plate there.
A bit too much, probably.
Yep, I think you're right. I mean, he was desperate to get by as quickly as he possibly could. He doesn't want Jem to run away with this race, and he needed to get by as quickly as he possibly could. And unfortunately for him, he's now got 3 cars to overtake instead of just 1.
At least he tried it. I mean, that's great to see. This guy, Antoholski, was in fact called. Oh, as Hoyer goes for the inside there. Hoyer on the inside of Masciuli. Hoyer also getting a bit impatient. But remember that Antoholski is only here since Spa, last race, and obviously he won that race, which was impressive. You know, this guy needs a bit of experience as well, and it's nice to see that a guy like that is still going to try it. The battle in front though, with almost going 3 wide into turn 7. Masciuli having the inside line on Francesconi, and Hoyer is going to capitalize on this as well. Around the outside here of the right-hander, and a fantastic move from Hoyer as well. And that's exactly what he had to do. Exactly what he had to do.
That's fantastic stuff from Hoyer there. He is really pushing very hard. That's great stuff to see. Wonderful racing. And I mean, While this is going on, meanwhile, Jem Bulakbasi up at the front already with a nearly 4-second gap to these cars. Of course, the battling is only helping him as well, so Antahowski is really going to have to try and get by these guys as quickly as he can, but I fear it may be too late as he actually moves to the inside line on Francesconi, which is where, I believe that's where they made contact before, and he does move ahead of him, so he has finally just now gotten ahead of Michael, but he's lost quite a bit of time to his teammate in the process.
Bulakbasi leading now by 5.1 seconds, and this is exactly the kind of gap a driver from his caliber needs in order to control it and just go ahead and win that race. He's definitely looking rather good at the moment. I don't see him being, getting challenged quite a bit anymore.
No.
What is Kodak doing? Kodak is doing 42.8 on the prime tire. About 9/10 slower than our leader, who has done a 141.9 fastest lap of the race. And we are starting to open up lap 30 for the next lap.
Yeah, Mishuli's got Hoyer right behind, but I think Hoyer is going to be too far back to do anything. Let's see if he can prove me wrong about that as they're heading into turn number 7. And yep, he is in fact too far back to do anything. So he's going to have to stay behind Mishuli for probably another lap. We will see exactly, but Antahowski with a big gap, he would love it if Mishuli and Hoyer would start battling. That would be a big help to him if he wants to have any hope of catching back up to his teammate. But as you said, I think that what we just witnessed over the past handful of laps or so, I think that could be potentially the difference between fighting for the race win and just having to settle for second possibly, because that gap just keeps growing. 6 seconds now is the gap, and that's just between Bulakbasi and Mishuli. His teammate, Mikhail, is actually 9 seconds now. So what was a 1 second gap, a less than 1 second gap, I want to say it was about 7/10, is now 9 seconds. That's huge.
And Mitchie Hoyer being the one who was obviously the winner out of that.
And Jem's already run his prime tire stint as well, is the other thing. So they're pretty much equal on their strategy at this point, or so we assume. So Bulakbasi looking very good right now.
Hoyer, can he get past Eros Mashuli? He's still stuck behind him. This guy must be getting quite impatient, you would start to think. The whole time though, Mashuli nails the first 3 corner combinations. Gains about 2/10 over there, and that's exactly the 2/10 he needs down this straight over here. Turn 6, flat out obviously. We saw the incident with Timo here losing it. And Hoyer again going for the inside, but as I said, he just loses out on those 2/10. He loses out in the first couple of corners. And Mashuli is doing an awesome job at the moment.
Yep.
Getting Hoyer behind.
Yep, doing a fantastic job. And we've still got a 4-way battle going on here, actually, for 5th position. Francesconi got a little bit of a train forming behind him. Georges moving out from the slipstream there.
Yeah, maybe trying to cool his brakes or engine. As I said, it's quite a demanding track, so wouldn't surprise me.
Yep, it's a strange circuit because, of course, the ambient temperature is higher than the track surface temperature.
Yeah, but that's down to the server plugin and the real weather plugin and stuff. That's we always run with that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's always 20 degrees temperature, which I find a shame. I wish it would fluctuate a bit. It's a bit at Monza also. It was like 32 degrees Celsius ambient temperature or ambient, and it was 20 on the track. That doesn't make sense, of course.
Oh, maybe they're icing down the track.
Or maybe
the race,
that value isn't even right. It could also be the case. Who knows? It's quite an old overlay which we are using, or the on-screen display. It's quite old, so who knows? Nonetheless, though, this battle is still going on. Lap 31 of the race, and Jem Bulakbasi finds himself 7.5 seconds in front of Mitchie Hoyer, who got past Mashuli.
Yeah,
So
I'm checking on that right now.
Yep, same. Where did Hoyer get past Mashuli? Must have been on the exit of the hairpin, which it was indeed. It was in fact a fantastic move from Hoyer around the outside of turn 14. Very nice move. Be clean, no contact made. So that releases Hoyer now.
No DRS needed.
Nope.
Which I know you like.
Nope. I like, yes. I like no DRS moves. I mean, we can all press a button, but that's not racing. But hey, that's a different subject.
Yeah, we'll go into
a very
that.
different one. Yep. George again moving out of that slipstream from Klopp.
Yeah, same location as well. That's the same spot where I noticed that as well.
Ooh, a fantastic couple of points from George's. Those were fantastic. Very, very nice lines. Closing down on Klopp, taking the right amount of curb. I mean, that chicane before the tunnel, it is so important to get the right amount of curb there. If you go a bit too much over it, you are understeering off the apex. If you go too much over it, the car is going to become unsettled. But that was perfect from George's. And look at this battle still developing. It's a big and nice battle. It keeps us entertained.
Yeah, and Godek actually is now involved. So what was a 4-way battle for 5th position is now a 5-way battle for 5th position, with the Ghost Speed cars bringing up the rear. Prieto leading Godek as it stands right now. Francesconi, though, doing a fantastic job, actually. And it looked like... Oh, gosh!
And a fantastic avoiding maneuver from Georges. But he loses out on that so much. Wow.
Yeah. And that's probably the worst case of commentator's curse I think I've ever seen. Literally in the process of complimenting Francesconi. And there he just loses the back end at the final corner. He went a little bit wide, as far as I could tell. I'm actually gonna.
Yeah, he just those were the tires going off, and then putting the power on too early, to be honest. And the rear ends rear wheels are being lit up, and there you went. But yeah, I feel very. Yeah, go ahead.
The wiggle started before he even went off the circuit, which I think is what you were kind of pointing out. He started losing the back end. Yeah, absolutely.
There's too much on the throttle with the worn tires, and then you're gone.
He's lost loads of time. That is. Francesconi is. He is now retired. That is very unfortunate for Francesconi. My apologies for the commentator's curse, but he was running very, very well.
Definitely. But I feel really sorry for Georges, who is now in P8, and Georges doesn't deserve to be there. But seriously, hat off to Georges for avoiding that. I hope you got it on camera, Craig. If you don't, then you are immediately fired. But seriously, that was amazing from Georges. Great avoiding maneuver. Very nice.
And he's not out of this just yet.
He is not. No.
Yeah, he's. Let's see. What is the gap right now? It's actually just under 1 second to Godek up ahead of him. So he's still within DRS range, just about, and pushing very, very hard. Georges really seems to be doing quite well here as Prieto dives into the pits. So that's one less car for Georges to overtake on circuit. And unfortunately for him though, I think he's still within range. Okay, good. Yep, he's still within DRS range of Godek. Klopp has been. I've seen some slight wiggles from him.
It's not like a Klopp race, to be honest.
Right.
Klopp is someone who needs to control a race and manages his tires, and that's why I like seeing him in P5 at the moment. I mean, Klopp, obviously, you're a nice guy, but seeing a driver outside of his own, element he's usually in is also nice. I mean, he has to look in his mirrors right now. He sees cars behind him who are quicker than him. At least Godek is, and obviously he's on the prime tire as well. George is on the super soft tire. This is usually the kind of situation you don't often see Klopp driving in. You usually see him just at the front and winning, or second, whatever. But P5 for him at the moment. I'm sure though that it's down to practice for him. Go ahead.
It looked like Godek there took a lot of curve. I'm not sure if that was lag with me being in America or something, but it looked like Godek's car lifted off pretty heavy through turn number 11 on the inside curve there. I'm not sure if that was just me or if that was actually him. He's all right.
Hoyer going deep.
Yeah.
Or Georges, not Hoyer.
Yeah, Georges running a little deep there. Unfortunately for him, I don't think that's lost him too much time. But of course, we find ourselves once again in a situation here where, it might actually be better to be on the prime tires at this point. It's getting harder and harder for Georges to try and get by. And of course, the car in front of him is getting DRS as well, as Mashuli is in the pits.
Yeah, and Klopp and Georges themselves pit as well. So this is going to be interesting. Two cars in the pit lane here, Georges being the one who was attacking Klopp before. Klopp trying to find his grid slot. He actually braked a little bit too early, and Klopp going for the prime tire. Now what is Georges going to do? He just stopped and goes for the prime tire as well, gets released from his pit box right now, and is a little bit closer to Klopp than he was before.
Yep, and of course DRS detection and DRS activation coming up pretty shortly here. He needs to kind of attack the pit exit if he wants to have any sort of hope of overtaking right out of the gate here as we're heading into turn number 5 with Georges now. He's definitely within DRS range, losing possibly a little bit of time in the dirty air of turn 5. Turn 5 a slightly higher speed corner than some of the other corners on this circuit anyway, which just goes to show you how slow some of these corners are. And no, he is not able to apply too much pressure to Klopp, so Klopp hangs on to that position for right now, currently in 7th, which we assume is a net 5th unless somebody's doing something really fancy with their strategy here. But Georges lives on to fight another day after that incident with Francesconi. He's still in the race, so I guess he could be happy about that, but unfortunately still behind Ren's Klopp.
He's putting a lot of pressure on him though. Closes up nicely on the airpin there as well. Had a good chicane before the bridge. Putting a lot of pressure on this guy, which is nice to see, but Klopp is someone who is not easily impressed and won't easily snap under pressure. Prieto is in front. Let's have a look what Prieto is doing. 148.9. Prieto must have made a mistake or something, or he pitted himself too. I think he pitted himself too. He must have done that. Let's have a quick look. I think he did. You mentioned it, Justin, I think. Yeah, he pitted.
Yep.
So Prieto pitted as well, so they shouldn't really hit the back of Prieto unless Prieto is really slow. We'll have a look at that. He's still behind Klopp, lost a little bit of time in that third sector, maybe because of dirty air. Here's the DRS here right now though, but it's a bit too far back to do anything at the moment. The leaders though, as Georges goes off the track for turn 2, was a bit too deep into the first corner, carried a bit too much speed into there. For the leaders, their concern, 6.7 seconds is the gap, which means that Hoyer has brought it down by 8/10 or so.
Yeah, he's lapping a little bit quicker right
yeah,
now. These
guys are very, very similar paced. Last lap, Hoyer was 0.06 of a second, in fact, slower. But before that, he usually was about 1/10 quicker, 2/10 quicker, maybe 3/10 lost, but then again was gaining by 2/10. But Hoyer has got his pit light on. Bassi doesn't have a pit light on. So we may see Hoyer going into the pit lane here. And I don't think Hoyer has given up just yet.
Incredible consistency from Bullock Bassi. 42.36, 42.36, 42.34, 42.16, 42.18. I mean, just incredible consistency as Hoyer now into the pits there. But Bullock Bassi, even though he might be losing a little bit of time, really not much, to Hoyer, he's showing that he's incredibly comfortable with the circuit.
Where's Hoyer going to feed out? Is he going to be in clean air? You would think yes, although there is a car across the start-finish line, which is Marek Godek, but he's going to feed out nicely in front of him, very nicely scheduled by the Avid Chronic Racing guys, and he comes out right in front of Godek. In fact, can Godek attack straight away? I don't think so. Already lost a little bit of time, and Hoyer is on the first tire, will be able to put the power down quite nicely on the exit of that corner, and indeed Godek is too far back. What can Hoyer do now though in clean air, and when is Bullock Bassi going to respond to this? We may see him responding already this lap, which would be the wise idea, you would say. He has got his pit light on at the moment.
I mean, how hard can Hoyer really push? He pit at the end of lap 35, so he's going to have to do 14 laps on a set of the super soft tires, which we saw at the beginning of the race is possible. But I mean, how hard can he really push?
Not hard. Definitely not. If he's going to push his balls off, then he's going to find himself in trouble towards the end of the stint. Just the way it is. But he felt like this is the best thing to do. You know, I have to do something. Let's try to go for an undercut. You know, even if it is one lap, then you just bring it on. And Bullock Bassi has to respond anyway, and I think he's going to do so. Yeah, he does so. And he has got to do 13 laps himself too. So Bullock Bassi can't go crazy and nuts on his final stint either, I think.
Right, yeah. They're both going to have to play it a little safe. But yeah, you're right about that, because Hoyer's pretty safe from Mikhail. Mikhail is about 5 seconds off the road, and we assume still has a pit stop to make, which would put about a 15-second gap between himself and Hoyer. And he does dive into the pits, actually, confirming what I already thought to be true. So he's going to be pretty far off of Hoyer. So yeah, you're right. Hoyer really doesn't have much to lose and possibly has a lot to gain.
Miro Godek, 3rd place at the moment. Very impressive considering he started from the back of the grid. He's got his pit light on though. Miro Godek, I said it before, usually that guy who is really aggressive, sometimes throws it away towards the end of the races. So far, I must say, he's been looking rather strong. Wow, as I said, 3rd place off the back of the grid. Obviously, he still needs to pit, but pretty impressive drive from him. Can he keep it on track though for the remainder of the race? That is the question. But yeah, as I said, he does look relatively strong. He's got Adams shooting behind him, but I presume that Godek is going to pit this lap already.
Yep, yeah, that's what it sounds like anyway. We're going to find out pretty shortly here. It's about a 5.1 second gap between Bullet Bossy and Hoyer as it stands right now. Schuley running pretty closely behind Godek, but we suspect Godek possibly pitting at the end of this lap. Not too much left in this race, about 12 laps remaining once this one is complete, so we might not see too much more action here to go. But of course, at Singapore, very easy to make mistakes, very easy to lose that focus for even just a moment, and you find yourself in the wall. So certainly they can't relax. These guys are going to have to focus 100% all of those 12 laps.
Definitely, you perfectly described it over there. I mean, this is the kind of point where you could fall asleep a little bit, and you said it, lose a bit of focus, and then you find yourself in the wall really easily. But obviously, the closer you get towards the end of the race, the more chance there is that you may have a moment where you don't pay as much attention as you should be. That's all just natural, you know. It's hard to concentrate for quite a long while, let alone if you're a WC driver. But even in days, it is tricky to have the full attention throughout the whole race.
And Godek comes out behind Jurgis.
Yep, go ahead.
Comes out behind Jurgis, and Jurgis is still stuck behind Rens Klopp as well. We kind of went away from that battle for a little bit.
Klopp just won't snap.
Yeah. He's not making it easy on Pasales.
Pasales. No.
Jurgis is having a hard time with Rens Klopp. Prieto not far up the road. What's going on with Prieto? He's putting in mid 42s, 42.7, 42.5, 42.6. Rens Klopp pretty much in the exact same range. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like Rens Klopp is closing up on Guillermo Prieto, unfortunately. So unless something happens, you know, I mean, it's not a huge gap though. It's about 2.5 seconds between the two of them. Even a small mistake from Prieto, even if he doesn't end up in the barrier, even just a small mistake could bring Klopp, Jurgis, Godek, you know, all of these cars right up to the back of him. So Prieto's definitely got to be careful, but at the same time, he certainly can't let off. He's going to have to keep pushing if he wants to hang on to that 5th place position.
One of the drivers who we haven't really seen during this race is Ragusa, and I find it really interesting because this is the guy who's currently, I believe, in 2nd place of the championship with Klopp, I think in 3rd. Daniel Kiss is still leading this championship, but he hasn't driven since a long while ago in this championship, but he's nonetheless most likely going to win it. He's got that much of an advantage, won the first 6 rounds or something like that, something ridiculous, or 6 out of 7, whatever. But Ragusa in 12th place, or 13th, even outside the top 10. That is something I did not expect.
He had a very, very short second stint. Very short second stint.
Hearing from the cameraman who has done an awesome job at spotting it.
Thank you, Greg.
Ragusa had a moment himself too. Went straight on at the braking zone, upbraked himself, and then was gone.
And Victor Ivanov, once again, just to talk about a driver who we haven't mentioned recently, he's actually up into 11th position, just outside a points-paying position. He's got a 9-second gap between himself and Fabrizio as it stands right now, but Victor Ivanov could find himself in a position to pick up a point or two at the end of this race. Gobi is not that far behind Martin Hodas, so if these guys start battling, or if there's some sort of incident or something like that, then Ivanov could find himself in a good position in the closing stages of this race. So it's not all over, certainly not at the back. It's certainly not in the midfield, as once again, actually Godek is really closed up on Jurgis now. He's, of course, in that very difficult position where the car ahead of him is getting DRS off the car in front of him. So it's not going to be easy for Godek. He is on the super soft tires as it stands right now. And Georges up ahead is on the soft tires, the harder prime tires. And, in fact, so is Klopp as well. So Godek has an opportunity here, but it's not going to be easy for him.
I need to correct myself quickly, by the way. Current championship standing is Kiss, Yagusa, Hoyer, and then Klopp. So Klopp even dropped back to P4 after not attending at Spa. Let's have a look at this battle though. Godek nicely behind Georges. He's really close behind him, in fact, coming through that corner. But then you see Hoyer just pulling away by a couple of meters on the exit because Hoyer gets compromised in the dirty. And there's another car which is standing there in the on the runoff area. It's again LSU Campus. It's again Campus.
Yeah,
We're still driving corner. Remarkably. 2 laps down, but remarkably still driving. He finds a way somehow to pull those brakes, because usually if they are gone, then if they are really gone, then there's no way you are still going to drive unless you activate the pit limiter for the whole lap, which I don't think he's doing.
And I'm just keeping my eye on Godek right now, because I think he is really the one to watch on those softer, fresher option tires, as we're really starting to get towards the closing stages of this race now. And as we've been saying at previous points in the race, you know, it's important for Godek to make use of that fresh rubber while he's got it. It's only going to get harder and harder for him to get by Georges and Klopp, but I mean, Klopp has been untouchable so far. I mean, there just doesn't seem to be anything that Georges can do about it. Prieto is losing a little bit of time. It's now 1.9 seconds between himself and Klopp, so that gap is actually falling down a little bit here. Prieto currently on the prime tires, so actually out of that group of 4, Godek is the only one on the super softs right now, so he could potentially grab a few positions towards the end here. Oh, he runs very deep though into turn number 1. That's certainly not going to help him as we're starting lap number 41 here.
And it's going to be so tricky for Godek. He's going to need some kind of mistake from the driver in front of him. I mean, Klopp won't snap. That's usually the case. This guy is so super consistent. It's like a tank. He won't move out of the way for you, and he won't get out of the way for you because he does make a mistake. We see Hoyer. What is Georges doing?
Oh!
What is happening? Godek and Georges are making contact, and I think Georges got all tapped or something like that out of the game. I think Georges must have got all tapped there, and Godek got caught up in that, and Georges immediately parks his car and retires, question mark,
yep.
Question mark. He's moving, he's going.
Yeah, I think you're right about the alt tab though. He seemed to go straight. I mean,
yep.
The car was on,
exactly.
He was on the brakes. He was laying on the brakes as heavy as he could. I'm not sure if there was any way for him to warn about that, but that's so unfortunate for both those drivers.
He's a retirement. Georges is another retirement, and that did look like an alt tab. I'm going to ask him quickly, see if I can get him.
Yep, that is very unfortunate though for Passalis Georges. Meanwhile,
wow.
another
and for
driver we
Godek.
haven't.
Godek as well lost out in that. He lost his front wing.
Oh yeah, you're right. Good spot. Yeah, he's lost his entire front wing, so he is going to have to pit, which is going to be fantastic news for Hodas and Gobi and possibly Ivanov as well, because he has to do pretty much an entire lap, or 2/3 of a lap anyway, without his front wing. So Ivanov has already found himself in 10th position as a result of the retirement from Georges, but he could find himself gaining another point in 9th position as a result of the necessary pit stop from Godek. He's in the pit lane now, and he's just pulling into his box now. Yep, and there goes Ivanov, I believe.
It's going to take some time to replace the front wing as well, of course. It's going to be a bit longer. And it was in fact a screen freeze for Georges.
Oh man.
He must feel horrible about that, and the thing is, it's out of his hands. He couldn't do anything about it.
Yep, yeah, absolutely nothing you can do about that, unless you're Neo from the Matrix. But yeah, it's good news for a bunch of drivers behind him, but that is devastating news for Georges and Godek. And as you said, you know, no fault of theirs. Really just nothing to be done in that sort of situation. I mean, Georges did all he could. He laid on the brakes as heavy as he possibly could. You know, that's. I think he was trying to think about himself and also the other drivers around. You know, he didn't want to just spear into the barrier at top speed, so he's laying on the brakes, but certainly he didn't want to be stopping in the middle of the corner like that.
With a screen freeze or alt-tabbing or whatever, you are so much into the race that it's always a surprise, of course, when it happens. But
oh, and there's been a little bit of a spin, and Ragusa actually moves up into 10th position. Ragusa into the points now.
Ragusa moves up into P10. What happened though?
Vanderneet had a spin.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely spun it on the hairpin after the bridge. Early on the power for Van der Niet. That's a shame for Van der Niet. Was having a solid race, to be honest.
It was in the points.
It was in the points for sure in terms of place. That is a big shame for Van der Niet. Driver error though, I would say. Heestebeek is behind him as well. Heestebeek having decent pace compared to Van der Niet. So Van der Niet may have to look in his mirrors as well still.
And so now it's really, as far as battling is concerned, it's really down to Prieto and Klopp. That gap is still pretty small, so Klopp still has a chance to possibly get into the double-digit figures when it comes to championship points at the end of this race. Hodas and Gobi as well running in very close position. Gobi, though, running very deep into that hairpin. That's going to lose him lots of time to Hodas there. And I'm so sorry, Jeroen. I feel like I'm just commentating, cursing all of these guys.
Maybe you should indeed shut up. No. No, you're doing very well so far, Justin. I mean, big thanks obviously once again to Craig Baxter for doing the cameras here, while Sam Jones, our usual camera suspect, is not around. He also wasn't in Spa, so Sam, wherever you are, hopefully you can get back as Santorovsky at the contact with the wall. Wow. Oh. See, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. He's still driving.
What we were talking about. You know, later stages of this race, you're tired, you're bored, you're wanting it to be over.
Especially when you're driving in Torovsky's position now, and even Jem Bolobas and even Hoyer. You know, it's so boring. Hoyer is dropping off completely, while Jem is still putting in purple laps at the moment. But Hoyer is like, now, you know, I've seen it. I'll settle for second. But
is Mishuli catching Hoyer?
Yeah, he is, but only by about 2/10, nothing too serious.
Okay.
Hoyer has gone into a standby mode and will come back when it's really necessary, I would say. This guy has got second in the back, I think. But coming back once again, thanks to Craig Baxter and also to you then, Justin, for jumping in. It's going quite well so far, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, we got the B team today.
We got the B team.
We're the reserve team.
Yep.
And pure coincidence, I promise you, that I ended up not working today. I swear I did not just like call out of work just to do commentary.
Oh, there's to your work. Oh, there's a spot free for a commentator. I'm not going to show up today if you don't mind.
I'm sure they'll understand.
Lol. What we see happening here is for EP11. Sorry about all of that shizzle. Heestebeek getting past. Kodak on the inside of Van der Niet as well. He's going to lose out on that. The Rock getting squeezed almost into the wall over there. And well, has to bow for the two Ghost Speed drivers over there. I'm having a look at the replay. Van der Niet went nicely on the inside for that corner. Heestebeek tried to swing it around the outside and went on off track. He was I have no idea. It's up to the race directors. I can't even see that. Not enough time to really make a judge on that. And instantly then Van der Niet loses a lot of positions. When did Van der Niet last pit it? Because he's looking not great on those tires at all.
No, he's
pitted
not.
In lap 33. Yes, and he went straight on. That may be a brake failure for Van der Niet. Yep, and Van der Niet has a DNF behind his name as well.
Wow.
Was that a brake failure though? Let's have a look. He brakes at the... he brakes quite late. Yeah, that's brake failure, I'm pretty sure. Van der Niet also out of the race. So towards the end of the race here, more retirements. We see some cars failing as well in terms of mostly brake ducts. We haven't seen an engine blowing up yet. I say yet because you never know, but I hope that I am not like Justin and having another or giving another commentator curse. Only Justin has that talent. But yeah, Hoyer...
It's my superpower.
Exactly. Hoyer is 10 seconds behind Bolobassi. It does look like Bolobassi is going to pick up his first win, which is well deserved. It was a bit of a wait maybe for him because he could have earned it a little bit earlier in Silverstone. I remember when he made his debut was also very strong, but had a disconnect. In Spa he could have had it, but it was unfortunate with that incident we've been talking about before. But now he is looking so stable and so strong.
And Godek just
likely
failed
he's
on
going
an
to win.
overtake on Hesterbeek as well, actually, if Craig wants to rewind that. Godek tried for a move at turn number 7 and ended up running very deep, and Hesterbeek hangs on to that position. Godek going very strong right now. He did a 140.5 on lap 44, which I thought was really impressive until I checked Jem Bolok-Bossi's time, and he did a 140.5 on lap 44.
Yeah, that was that purple lap, I think, was it? Or did he do multiple 45s? Oh no, that's the one. Straight after that he did a 42.4, so you see there he did a 40.5, then dropped to 42.4, probably made a mistake, and then instantly you realize, you know, keep it clean, keep it out of those barriers, and maybe for the last couple of laps you are going to settle down a little bit. And why wouldn't he be settling down? Because he's got a 10-second gap advantage. He's just going to win if he keeps it clean, period.
Yep, not much left in this race whatsoever. Unfortunately for Godek, who is pushing very hard to try and regain as much as he possibly can here. Unfortunately, I think he's going to be way too far off of Ragusa, especially considering he is still stuck behind Hesterbeek as well. So
yeah, never going to make that.
Yeah, he's got an 8-second gap between himself and Ragusa, and yeah, there's just a handful of laps remaining. So I think Godek probably going to be out of the points here. Viktor Ivanov, as I mentioned, I guess I gave him the commentator's blessing. Viktor Ivanov, after
another
that,
talent.
Yep, after that lap 1 incident, he is #blessed, and looks like he's gonna pick up a couple of points. He's still 9 seconds off of Fabrizio, so I don't see any sort of additional positions being gained for him. But you know, it just goes to show that you can never give up. He had the ability, his car was in good enough condition to continue racing. He continued racing, and now he's going to pick up a couple of championship points as a result.
How much risk is Godek going to take in overtaking his teammate here in the final couple of laps of the race? Yes, they are both outside the top 10, but you don't want to be guilty of crashing your teammate out. Not at any stage of the race, really. He is rather close to it. He's the quick one, you would think, but where is he going to pass? We've seen drivers being quick so many times, but just couldn't get past. Then they went for the undercut, but the undercut may not be worth as much as it was around other tracks, Justin, perhaps. Because strategy-wise, there hasn't been too many overtakes being made either. Mainly the overtakes were just from driver errors or mistakes or a spin or whatever. Not a lot of head-to-head battling, which you cannot really expect around a track like this, to be honest.
No. Yep. Oh my gosh.
Fantastic spot. Good spot from our cameraman. Oh, correct. Jem has a problem. Jem has a problem. Short shifting a lot. Jem has a problem.
Yeah, the revs don't sound very good.
No. He's in 5th gear. Is that down to fuel saving? Is it down to engine? Is it down to brakes? Let's listen. Let's wait for the first turn. But Jem has got a problem. Jem has got a problem though.
Yep, Hoyer is not far behind either at all. He's already headed into turn number 1 now.
So
that gap is down to less than 3 seconds.
This is the final lap, I think. I think this is the final lap. Yes, this is the final lap of the race. And Jem is probably going to give it away. Is he trying to make it somewhat exciting? He has got a problem. He's going up the rest right now though. He knows he needs to do it, but has he got the fuel? Has he got the engine? Whatever the problem is. I think it's fuel, to be honest. I am not entirely sure. Maybe just realized towards the end of the race here. Oh shit, I don't have enough liters left. Come on, Jem, do it. This win should be yours. You fully deserved it. Nothing against Mitchie, of course. And what is Mitchie Hoyer thinking at this stage? Just seeing that car in front of him coming closer. I'm pretty sure this is the final lap of the race. I am really sure, in fact, it is. And Jem has just got a problem. I think it is fuel, but I am not entirely sure.
He's picked up the pace a little bit, so I think he was using that gap to save some fuel. He knew that he had a huge gap.
Still short shifting.
I don't think it's as bad as before, but yeah.
No, it is not as bad as before, but he is still doing it.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, 4th gear on the exit there. He is in trouble. Is he going to have enough fuel? And if not, when is he going to run out of fuel? Hoyer is so close behind him. Oh my god, this is insane. The final sector of the race. Take us through it, Justin. Can he do it?
There is really not much. I mean, these corners are extremely difficult to pass through, so Jem Bullock-Bossi is in a very good position despite any sort of possible fuel issues. We're assuming it's a fuel issue. Just a couple of corners remaining, and it does look like he is going to come across the line ahead of Michi Hoyer and take his first victory. And, yep, there it is.
The straight race runs out of fuel.
There it is.
Holy
wow.
Shit.
By
Great
half
stuff.
a second in the end. So what was a nearly 10-second gap cut down to just half a second in the end there. Maybe he was just making it interesting for us.
No,
Maybe
it
he
was
thought
fuel. His engine is already off. His engine
is it
already
really?
shut down. Yep.
Yep. He is coasting his way through turn number 3 there, and holy cow. The emotions that must be running through him right now, just the panic that he was having to deal with right there. That is fantastic. Huge kudos though to Jem Bullock-Bossi, who does end up picking up the win despite the issues that he was having at the end there, which clearly were fuel related, as he has run out of fuel right across the line. Man, they could not have called that any closer when it comes to the fuel.
Gobby is out. Gobby is out as well.
Oh, you're right. Yep. Fabrizio as well, which means Ivanov goes up a position, Ragusa goes up a position, Hesterbeek into the points now. So, and Godek never did manage to get by his teammate there. So actually, Hesterbeek ends up picking up a point.
Watch what Gobby did. Gobby just... What the hell? Also an alt tap or something? What is that about?
And I rewind. I see him parked off the track somewhere.
He went into the wall. He's on the escape route, but he hit the wall. Huh? Weird. No, he didn't run out of fuel, I don't think.
No?
His engine is still running after he hit the barrier for quite a long while. He what the? Alt tab, I think.
Yeah.
I think alt tab.
I think you might be right.
Sometimes he just runs straight into the wall. He's in the escape route, still is in first gear, still the engine running. Wow. What an end to this race though.
And Jem says he realized he had 8 liters left with 3 laps to go. And this is a circuit that uses, if I'm not mistaken, about 3.5 liters of fuel per lap. So that would mean he would need about 10.5 liters to do 3 laps, and he only had 8. So that's incredible fuel conservation from Jem Bullock-Bossi.
Short shifting does a lot. Short shifting saves a lot of fuel.
Incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
great
for sure.
job for someone who's so new, though, to this series, to be able to recognize that and to remedy the situation and not lose the lead of the race. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, but what else could he have done? Obviously, it's nice, but of course, when you see that happening, then the first thing you are going to do is save fuel and short shift. That's the only way you can do it. But he is the deserved winner, though. And I would have felt very sorry for him if Michi Hoyer still got it. But Hoyer must have been thinking towards the final lap, just screaming, come on, go, run out of fuel, blow up, whatever. But it didn't happen, luckily, because Jem has been quite unlucky before. And this time he didn't deserve to be unlucky anymore and just take home the win. Although, how much can you call, not having enough fuel unlucky? That's also another part, of course. But that's
right.
That's
maybe he should have noticed a little earlier.
No, maybe he should have put in a little bit more fuel. But that doesn't take away that he deserves this victory. He was the quickest this race. Maybe Godek was, I don't know. But the most likely this deserved winner. That is always nice to see. Hoyer in second. That he will be happy with that. Certainly in terms of championship standings. And Mashuli third, impressive.
Yeah,
After starting from the prime tire and having that mistake in qualifying. Impressive drive from him, 3.1 seconds behind the leader, which would have been about 14 seconds if Jem didn't have the mistake. So it wasn't really a mistake, but the issue. But that's impressive when starting from, what was it, 10th, maybe even 9th, I don't even remember. But good race from him as well.
Klopp never did catch up to Prieto. They finished at about the gap that it was during the race, about 1.6 seconds between the two of them. So good job by Guillermo to hold on to that 5th place position, keep Rens Klopp behind, who was incredible defending today. Rens Klopp just that immovable object, just no one could get by him. He was really on it. He didn't win the race, He may not have had the pace of Jem, but I mean, he was just very consistent, very smooth, very hard to get by.
I definitely agree with you. So it's been a long, eventful race. Couple of retirements, of course. We have seen some crashes. Especially George's crash was insane with the screen freeze. Obviously, nothing he could have done about. Timo Vargijarvi's crash was rather insane as well. But I think we should start to close it off here. It's the first day of the Singapore weekend. We had a nice race in Ace. Tomorrow will be Pro and WC. So I hope you guys will be joining us there. And I certainly enjoyed it. Once again, a big thank you to our cameraman Craig Baxter. And Justin, is there anything you want to add?
Nope. Fantastic race, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Alright, so another thanks to Justin for joining me as well. Justin Sutton, the first time he commentated. And then I hope to see everyone tomorrow. Hope you had a good time. And thank you for coming and watching. Have a good one. Goodbye.